Namaste. Welcome to another edition of Navimash podcast. Today we have a special podcast, and today we're going to talk about the Vijayanagara Empire. So today is more or less officially the birthday of the Vijayanagara Empire. So today we have a lot of great guests who would be coming onto our show. Just to start off, we have a guest, Nina, who comes on frequently to read books. And in few minutes, we'll also have an author come with us and talk about the Vijayanagar Empire. So do stay tuned for that. So we will have people come and share their opinions and share their views as well on Vijayanagar Empire. So today, Nina is going to get the show introduced. Nina,
Namaste, Dara. Namaste to all the viewers. Welcome to the special YouTube live on this, on one of the greatest emperors of southern India and one of the greatest Hindu emperors, you can call Krishnadevaraya. As you can see behind Dada, he has put the book as well, Raya, Krishnadevaraya of Vijayanagara by Srinivas Reddy. So we'll be discussing based on the facts that we learned from the book as well. So some basic facts are that Krishnadevaraya ruled from I think 1509 onwards and till the his death in around 1520 20s some around. And he is known for his fight against Bahamanis in in the area where it now will fall under Maharashtra and Karnataka. And he also fought against the kingdoms in Odisha and Andhra, the Gajapatis, that side. And there are many famous battles he had fought uh, in especially the Raichur area. Then I think even closer to Odisha, there was one famous battle he fought, and there was a lot of interesting war tactics he used in his battles that we can learn a lot from. So yeah, that is why he's such an important ruler for us.
yeah. So thank you, Nina, for this introduction. I think we appreciate you coming to the podcast and sharing your time and giving us time. So we'll wait for our guests to come. We'll have a one author come to us and talk about Vijayanagara Empire. He's a historian. Okay. So let him come. Before that, I want to connect with you. So, and the audience who are watching this, you can also join the podcast. The joining link is there in the members only post, which is there. So members who, if you are listening to this, and if you want to come and join, you can join and talk to us live on the live podcast itself. But as of now, we have Niner with us. So Niner, uh, how do you know about Vijayanagar Empire and why it fascinates you as a student, as an individual, as an Indian?
So my introduction to Vijayanagara Empire was actually not through school textbooks or anything, because as you know that our textbooks do not cover these such very important rulers as well. My introduction was through Amar Chitrakatha. There is a really fantastic Amar Chitrakatha comic on Krishna Deva Ray's life, in that they depict his entire life from the starting as a whole dramatic narrative. You know, there's a story about uh, him and his two wives. Then there's a story about one battle with the Gajapatis, one story with the battle with Bijapur Sultanate, and so on, so on. So mostly I learned about him from that comic. After that, I also read from R.C. Majumdar and others, but initially I found out about them from that comic.
Interesting that you learned about the Vijayanagar Empire via the comics, the very popular comics. What is this name? I forgot. Sorry.
Amar Chitrakatha.
Yeah, Amar Chitra Katha. Amar Chitra, and I think people, if in the modern age, Amar Chitra Katha app is available on App Store in Google and as well as maybe in Google it is there available. And also you can buy the comics online as well. So it's a treasure
Yes.
trove of Indian culture and heritage preserved over decades. And so that if you have not read your Amar Chitra Katha, you would not know about the Vijayanagar Empire and the glories it had amassed over the hundreds. centuries of ruling the South Indian part of the Indian continent. So let me just ask you one more thing. Uh, when it comes to the Vijayanagar Empire and its heritage, its success, its grandeur, okay, you also would have read, correct, a lot of other historical history as student as well as a hobby. So
Yes.
how do you see the Vijayanagar Empire in terms of comparing to like other contemporaries at that time?
So comparing to other contemporaries, we have to keep in mind that mainly the other contemporaries are all the in India overall, for all the Muslim kingdoms that started at after the coming of Alauddin Khilji in South India. So after Hoysalas fell, then many other small South Indian kingdoms fell. Then there was a kind of void. That void was filled by Vijayanagara Empire in this area of mainly Karnataka, Andhra, and later even Tamil Nadu, Kerala. So yeah, they were the most distinct thing is that the other empires are all Muslims, and this side,
Mm-hmm.
the this was the only large Hindu empire in entire of India at that time.
Yes, we have one more guest who have joined us, Rishi. Welcome, Rishi. So today we are going to have like a lot of people, authors, guests, students who would be joining us. So if you also want to join and share your opinion, share your thoughts on the Vijayanagar Empire, you can join us live and talk to us. The joining link is available in the members only section of the community post. So you can go and check it there. Hello, Rishi. How are you?
नमस्ते दादा नमस्ते नैनर सभी को प्रणाम yeah I'm fine.
Yeah. So we would like to like learn from you because how do you learn about Vijayanagar? Because as mentioned by Nina, that he did not learn about the Vijayanagar Empire from his history books. So where did you learn about Vijayanagar Empire from your end?
uh, for that I will give special thanks to one of the great historical researchers, always grateful to read his articles as well, Mr. Balakrishna. His blogs on Dharma Dispatch and Preksha, especially. Audience should please refer to them because his research on them is too deep, and we should actually cherish that. And also, uh, some of the books like History of Vijayanagar, The Never to Be Forgotten Empire by Bengaluru Surya Narayan Rao, then History of South India by Neelakanta Shastri, uh, books like Salatore, one of the great historians of Karnataka, his book, Social and Political History of Vijayanagara. There are many, but these three books, I guess, would be the best way to know about Vijayanagara Empire, and also blogs of Sandeep Balakrishna on Dharma Dispatch and Preksha. One must follow them. At least that's
So
what I did for learning about Vijayanagara.
Yeah, Preksha I have not checked, but I have checked his Dharma dispatch. So let me actually
Yes,
introduce the
yes.
guest to the Dharma dispatch as well. I'll pin the link here and for people to come and join. Okay. And we will also reading like we will be reading a few chapters of this book as well. Also, we have a presentation ready, so we will have a special guest come, and then he will be able to give us more context of this. But till then, we will. Okay. Yeah, Amarjit. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let me share
you can check
something
out
with
this
you.
link I just
Yeah, yeah,
shared
yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah. I'm just opening this. So it's an interesting
It
story.
has
Like,
many of the many of the panels which
yeah.
were in the original
So
form.
Yeah, so I am just sharing you the Amar Chitra Katha, correct? As Niner mentioned, that Niner knew about the Vijayanagara Empire from the reading Amar Chitra Katha. So let me just go through them. So Krishnadevaraya, okay, the most prominent of the kings of the Vijayanagara Empire. So in this comic, Krishnadevaraya, the brave king. So here, Nina, would you like to describe this for our audience? Because I think you have gone through this before.
So my description is not any different from what's written there. So
Mm-hmm.
he was the king of Vijayanagar. In this
Mm-hmm.
comic, actually, they go through his entire life story from the his fight with his brother to you know there is a story of his two wives and
Mm-hmm.
how he finds Chinnappa, one of his wives, in a temple. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then there is a lot of discussion about
Mm-hmm.
his military campaigns and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. I think we should I'll pin this in the podcast comment section itself. I'll just put them here right now, but I'll pin them so that people can actually find it when the
By
podcast
the
is
way,
over.
yeah, by
Yes,
the
please.
way, Amar Chitra Katha also released Harihara and Bukka, so that too can be purchased by
Oh,
audience.
that's really amazing. Okay, let me. I will try.
Yes,
I
that's
will try to
another book I had
actually.
read
Uh, which one? Which one? Which one?
on Harihara and Bukkara. They're the first
Oh,
Vijayanagara kings.
yeah. I am just checking. Give me. Okay. I think Rishi has a lot of early history of Vijayanagara Empire. So Rishi, would you like to share some uh, stories about the early history of Vijayanagara Empire, how it became a really great empire.
So I will try my best, but let's hope that I can do that. So
Hmm.
uh, to know about origins of Vijayanagara Empire, we must know what happened. What was the prelude to that? So we know after ascension of throne at Delhi by Alauddin Khilji, and when he won Gujarat by defeating I'm forgetting the dynasty's name. So the ones who ruled from Karnavati. So
Okay.
after defeating them, he made slaves and destroyed Somnath temple once again. So on and so forth. So one of the slaves that he took was Malik Kafur. Uh, so this guy also became his quote unquote special friend as well. Audience may know what that means. So uh, this Malik Kafur was then designated to be sent down south because that was the frontier which the sultanates never actually went to. They always abhorred that whole area because there were other strong kings. There were other strong kings before who didn't allow that misadventure of theirs. So Malik Kafur was the first. So he entered.
Yeah, understood. So why don't you?
Yeah.
I think it's a very good topic. I think we will while we wait for our guest of honor to come and join us. Yeah, I think our guest of honor has already joined. But anyway, yeah, let him be ready for 30 seconds, and then let me add him. Yeah. Hello, Bijita. Yeah, namaste. You're on mute. Mute, mute.
अच्छा हाँ sorry. Yeah, namaskar.
Yeah, yeah.
What are
So
you guys
namaste.
discussing?
Yeah, we are discussing about the Vijayanagara Empire. So actually, we thought of let's make it a little bit fun event. Okay, where
Okay.
we will read about Vijayanagara Empire. We will learn from you about the history of Vijayanagara Empire. But let's make it little bit interactive, where people can share their experience, how they discovered, how they knew about Vijayanagara Empire. as
Right.
Niner mentioned, that he did not read about Vijayanagara Empire in his school books, history books. He learnt about the Vijayanagara Empire through reading Amar Chitra Katha. That's the interesting part of it. Yeah, because it is not
Exactly
there.
where? Exactly where?
Amar Chitra,
Yeah.
Niner, would you like to just share the story?
So yeah, it was not in actually in NCRT textbooks, right? When you
Right.
study Delhi Sultanate or the Mughal period, this Vijayanagara Empire doesn't come in the textbook in NCRT.
So Niner learnt about Vijayanagara Empire through the
No,
stories.
like I'm trying to understand exactly where in Amar Chitra Katha you read
Oh,
about
okay. Yeah,
Oh,
Vijayanagara
there
yeah.
is
Empire.
a special there is a special comic on Krishnadevaraya from first. That is where I
Oh, I see.
encountered
Right, right,
about
right. Right, right.
Yes. So yeah. So Vijitda, let's because you're here. Let's start from you. Uh, you wrote a book on history, correct? The 1,000-year history of invasions of India. Okay,
Right.
and I think in that book also you mentioned some part you mentioned about the Sultanate. That there is a Delhi Sultanate invading South India and by in process destroying temples, properties, and killing people. Okay. So, from your perspective as a historian, okay, how do you see the Vijayanagara Empire?
Right. So for me, Vijayanagara Empire is, I mean, historically, it is probably the last Hindu empire, like something that we really call an empire and not like zamindari. It was the last Hindu empire and probably one of the most glorious Hindu empires, actually. I mean, if you think of the challenges that Vijayanagar Empire actually initially and obviously during its lifetime it faced. On the north, you have the rapidly expanding Delhi Sultanate, and in the Deccan, you have the five or six Sultanate: Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda, Vidar, and Virar. Right, these five, six Sultanate fighting with each other, and Vijayanagar is playing diplomacy in such a way that it can keep these Ashrafi sultanates in fight with each other so that it can survive. And also, it is trying to tie up with the Portuguese while focusing on the on creating a lot more wealth for the arm admis of this empire, and also expanding the businesses, um, and in the process creating an empire which is so rich that I think some there was some Portuguese guy called Domingo, who is actually writing ki there is no city uh, in Europe which is as glorious and as rich as Hampi. There was this guy, Persian guy called Abdul Razak, I guess, who is also मतलब जिसका आंखें बिल्कुल ही बड़ा बड़ा हो गया था, and he is saying कि मतलब इतना सोना मैंने देखा नहीं, and also the even the nails जो किंग का पैलेस था, it was a 9 storied palace. तो forget about कि वो it was covered with gold which used to be as thick as the blade of a this talwar, and even the nails that were used to sort of build the palace. Those nails were golden nails. They were made of gold. And Phule Bazaar, there was this open market in which matlab diamond, ruby, gold, everything मतलब खुले बाजार में बिकता था. And it was an empire जहाँ मतलब obviously architecture, art, पेंटिंग, स्कल्पचर, ये सब तो होता ही था. उसके साथ मतलब यू हैड dancers, philosophers, priests, again some good kind of secularism with the all cultures and religion and punts are actually sort of mixing together to create something magical to show the way forward for humanity. And in Asia, it was probably the biggest city, bigger than Beijing. peaking, right? So overall, it was probably the most glorious empire in India and probably at that time of the whole world. And when it fell, you know that the whole city of Hampi was burned for like how many years? Like, sorry, 3 to 5 months. Um, and with it, actually, we lost a huge legacy. When the Hampi or the Vijayanagar, the capital of Vijayanagar was actually being founded near Anegundi and then to Hampi, it has a historical connection. You know, I mean, we won't call it history. It has a itihasa, connection of itihasa starting from the Treta Yuga, right? From the time of Ram and Hanuman and Bali, who had this Kishkinda Empire, right?
Yes,
Near
yes, yes.
Anegundi. So वो जो legacy था, जो actually it continued till this 1560s. It got destroyed. We lost a huge amount of treasure, our treasure of itihas. And yeah, so in short, in my eyes, actually it teaches you a lesson when you don't know your enemy and their philosophy. When you don't know philosophies such as, let's say, Islam, right? You pay the price, and you pay the price by losing your empire, by being the biggest victim of a genocidal campaign. And all these things happen to the city of Hampi. I mean, just imagine today if I tell you कि न्यूयॉर्क में कब्जा हो गया है, सारा बिल्डिंग बिल्डिंग जला दिया गया है, न्यूयॉर्क के लाइब्रेरीज म्यूजियम सारे जला दिया गया है, वहाँ का जो मेयर वगैरह जो भी है और ट्रम्प बम्प है उनको फिर पकड़ के जो भी है मतलब यू नो कलम
Captured.
कर दिया गया है, ठीक है। आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट बिकॉज पता नहीं क्या होगा हमारे स्ट्रीम के साथ कि डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प का ऐसा हो गया है, उसका मुंडी पकड़ के लोगों को दिखाया जा रहा है, दिल्ली सल्तनत भेजा जा रहा है, राइट? या फिर उसको उसका ट्रम्प का वर्ड मुंडी पकड़ के मिडिल ईस्ट भेजा जा रहा है। इफ आई से यू दिस कि भाई न्यूयॉर्क हैज फॉलन और लंदन हैज फॉलन, राइट? और आई डोंट नो म्यूनिक हैज फॉलन, हाउ वुड इट साउंड लाइक? एग्जैक्टली वही हुआ था कि दुनिया का उस टाइम का सबसे बेहतरीन, सबसे प्रेशियस इम्पोर्टेंट सिटी, it fell actually to a genocidal criminal army of these ashrafs. तो मैं इस तरह से ही याद रखता हूँ. Although history has forgotten Vijayanagar, Hindus should not forget Vijayanagar. And I have been to Hampi. I have seen all these glorious ruins as written by Robert Sewell, I guess, right? In his book, this A Forgotten Empire, which he wrote on in 1900. So I've seen the ruins, and it is such a beautiful place. I mean, the ruins are so beautiful. The location is so beautiful. You go to the museum. There is a small museum, and you can get a taste of their artistic brilliance. Um, so yeah, I mean, if we need a Hindu Renaissance, like in 1900, early 1900, and then later when Bengal, for example, was trying to find a language of its own art, right? It went back to these places like Ajanta, Ellora, right? Like, Abanindranath Tagore, Nandalal
Yes.
Bose. They actually borrowed a huge amount of the style from Ajanta, Ellora. In fact, Nandalal Bose has a book called um, Sarabuli, I guess. So where he actually has given demonstration of how hand should be sort of drawn. It should be like lotus. It should be soft. So all these things they borrowed from Ajanta Ellora. Now in this neo-Indian Renaissance, whatever Hindu Renaissance that we are talking about, it needs to borrow the style, a lot of style from the Hampi architecture, Hampi style of art, um, and Hampi folklores and music and all these things. So I believe that the city, although it is ruined and destroyed already, it bears a huge importance in taking us forward from where we were left actually in ruins. So in short, this is my submission.
Yes. So, like in our title, we had mentioned Vijayanagara Empire from ashes to empire, Hindu resistance against Islamic invasion. So, uh, if you can, we also have Rishi with us and Inner with us who will try to give their own because they are a young generation. Okay, so we will
Right.
try to mix match both of them to get to people who are listening to this a perspective that how a person who is doing his university, how he feels about Vijayanagara Empire, how you have been an author. You have studied, you have been there, how you feel about. So it is not about an academic podcast, but about how do you feel really, your experience, how you experience Vijayanagara Empire in your life. Okay, by knowing it, by
Mhm.
knowing its history, by visiting Hampi, by feeling its magic, its beauty in front of our eyes. So when we say from ashes to empire, so if you can just give a glimpse, and I think Rishi might also add up few things here because he read about it, about how it became empire before it
Right,
wasn't
right,
an empire.
right. So yeah. As you have already discussed, that I have written a book, this history of
Hmm.
Hindu mystery and Hindu genocides, and actually I have kept a chapter on the history of Vijayanagar. Obviously, the mainly the genocide part of it, where the city of Hampi got destroyed. And yeah, it was really an empire which was built from the ashes. Because let me tell you the historical chronology of all the events that was happening in India at that time, right? So, so by 1330 AD, 1330, the Ashraf rule was firmly established in the northern India. So, I mean, the whole the whole Delhi Sultanate that we talk about, it was already, although they had, I mean, that internal struggle and assassinations going on, which was leading to transition of different dynasties, right? And it was actually a very violent period where the sultans were getting constantly changed and assassinated, but by 1330 the Islamic rule in Delhi was firmly established. Okay, obviously we had the Rajputs ruling the our Rajput kingdom, which is the presently the Rajasthan. बट दिल्ली साइड तो बेसिकली ये सल्तनत चल रहा था. एंड फिर उसके बाद इन्वेशन, मतलब द होल दिल्ली सल्तनत was pressurizing and was trying to expand into the Deccan and eventually to the south, right? So 1330 तक कृष्णा जो नदी है अपना ये कर्नाटक तमिलनाडु उस बॉर्डर में, वहां तक उसके नॉर्थ तक एक्चुअली अशराफी रूल फॉर्मली एस्टेब्लिश हो चुका था. एंड साउथ ऑफ कृष्णा वाज लार्जली हिंदू डोमिनियन. एंड देन द साउथ इंडिया वाज आल्सो अवेटिंग द सेम डेस्टिनी, कि लोग तो मान चुके थे कि साउथ भी अब इस्लाम के कब्जे में आ जाएगा. देवगिरी, so Alauddin Khilji ransacked Ranthambore. Ranthambore actually was important from the perspective of business, क्योंकि अगर दिल्ली सल्तनत को साउथ में बिजनेस वाइज भी एक्सपैंड करना था, सो इट द पाथ टू साउथ गोज टू रणथंबोर. ठीक है, रणथंबोर फिर उन्हें रैंसैक किया. एंड देन देवगिरी 1293 को देवगिरी कैप्चर किया अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने. बाय 1309, 1309 तक मालिक कफूर. सो खिलजी जब गुजरात इन्वेड किया था, गुजरात इन्वेड करके उन्होंने, क्योंकि इस्लाम में स्लेवरी है, सो यू कैन बाय स्लेव्स एंड यूनुक्स, राइट, एंड वुमेन ऑल्सो. सो उन्होंने एक यूनुक खरीदा था जिसका नाम था मालिक कफूर. ठीक है, मालिक कफूर उनका नाम अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने रखा था. उनको गुजरात से लाया गया था. फिर मालिक कफूर को बोला गया, उनको थोड़ा सेना वेना दिया गया. एंड मालिक कफूर देन अंडर अलाउद्दीन खिलजी, ही इन्वेडेड डेक्कन एंड ही कैप्चर्ड वारंगल. 1309 1310 में he captured Dwara Samudra. Why Dwara Samudra is important? Dwara Samudra is actually, it used to be the capital of Hoysala Ballala dynasty basically. तो जो Hoysala empire था, again a मतलब big, I think it had such a large impact on the Deccan and southern style of art again, right? Because वही हमारे दिमाग में तो हिंदू किंग तो जा चुके हैं, थोड़ा बहुत आर्ट वार्ट जो बचा है, we can distinguish कि this is Hoysala art, for example. So Hoysala also was attacked. The Dwara Samudra, the capital of Hoysala, was attacked and captured in 1310. And then it is in this moment of history, जब Anegundi, a small town which also had the ancient name of Kishkinda, it grew into the great empire of Vijayanagar and garnered the submission of all nations in the south. So यहाँ पे जब एक के बाद एक जब सारे हिंदू empire when they were falling, then also from the ash, ये जो ashes जो word use किया है, इसको मैं actually अब थोड़ा justify करने वाला हूँ. तो एक के बाद एक हिंदू एम्पायर एक्चुअली दे वर फॉलिंग, एंड देन ये विजयनगर एम्पायर तब एस्टेब्लिश हुआ इन 1336 एडी. और इनके फाउंडर थे संगमा ब्रदर्स, दो भाई थे, हरिहर एंड बुक्का. तो हरिहर एंड बुक्का आई थिंक एक छोटा सा एम्पायर था जिसका नाम था कंपिली एम्पायर. ठीक है, कंपिली जब एम्पायर का फॉल हुआ तब आई थिंक कंपिली एम्पायर फेल टू मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक, एंड उसका जब फॉल हुआ, देन दीज टू ब्रदर्स हरियन एंड बुक्का, दे वर कैप्चर्ड एंड देन दे वर टेकन टू दिल्ली, एंड पॉसिबली दे वर कन्वर्टेड टू इस्लाम. तो उनको फिर मुस्लिम बनाया गया, फिर उनको दे वर लेटर सेंट बैक टू द डेक्कन टू गवर्न पार्ट ऑफ द साउदर्न इंडिया. एंड जब हरिहर बुक्का साउथ में आया, देन दे मेट someone called विद्यारण्य फ्रॉम द श्रृंगेरी मठ. श्रृंगेरी मठ के एक सेज थे जिनका नाम विद्यारण्य था. उनको मिला, एंड देन विद्यारण्य कन्विंस्ड हरिहर एंड बुक्का टू रिकन्वर्ट टू, मतलब घर वापसी कर दो, reconvert to Hinduism, and then establish a capital on the bank of Tungabhadra river. ये बोला जाता है, at least from the book A Forgotten Empire by Robert Sewell, it is written that he also gave the site कि exactly कहाँ पे किष्किंधा पे कौन सा जगह है, why this is so important for Hindus. वहाँ पे exactly आनेगुंडी में इसका अपना जो विजयनगर एम्पायर है, इट वाज फाउंडेड. ठीक है, एंड देन शुरू से ही, बिकॉज सेज विद्यारण्य वाज सॉर्ट ऑफ द सुपरवाइजर इन अ वे, द स्पिरिचुअल गाइड, शुरू से विजयनगर हैड द was founded with the intention as a bastion of, with the intention ki this whole place will act as the bastion of Sanatana Dharma. It will protect and build more temples. It will protect the Hindu traditions and the local rulers from foreign incursions. ठीक है. Now यहाँ पे तो हरिहर बुक्का ने तो अपना संगमा डायनेस्टी बनाया. It was from 1336 to almost 1485. तो 1336 to 1356 Harihara and Harihara ran the empire. Then Bukka ran the empire from 1356 to 1377. So they consolidated control over the Tungabhadra and Krishna river valley. तो ये ऐसी जगह है which is also strategically very sort of important, and strategically it gave the advantage to these emperors, because इसके आप हम्पी के जो अपने ईस्ट है और साउथ है उधर इट इज प्रोटेक्टेड बाय द तुंगभद्रा रिवर, एंड जो नॉर्थ पे आप देखोगे, नॉर्थ में इट इज प्रोटेक्टेड बाय हिल्स, और हिल भी ऐसा है कि वहाँ पे यू कैन क्रिएट केव्स. ठीक है, इट इज ऑफ द ऑप्टिमल हाइट जहाँ से यू कैन प्रोटेक्ट द किंगडम. So overall, it was strategically it was a very nice place from which an empire can sort of grow. Okay? And then it got engaged in continuous conflict with the Bahmani Sultanate. जो पांच छह सल्तनत मैंने बोला, बीजापुर, गोलकुंडा, अहमदनगर, बिदार, विरार. I'm missing something. बीजापुर, गोलकोंडा, अहमदनगर, विदार, विरार. हाँ, the पांच बहामनी सल्तनत इनको बोला जाता है. And शुरू से ही, because it was a Hindu empire, that's why it got engaged in tussle with these Bahmani empires. ठीक है. And then 1406 to 1422 देवराय 1 आता है. 1422 to 1446 देवराय 2 वो राज करते हैं. And Devaraya II actually recruited Muslim archers and cavalry, which was a controversial move, considering the fact that it was surrounded by the Ashrafi Sultanate of these Bahmani empires, right? So, ये Bahmani Sultanate, they were of this Ashrafi Muslim nature. But anyway, Devaraya II started to recruit already the Muslim sort of soldiers in the Vijayanagara, which will actually prove fatal, which I will discuss in a few minutes. Okay? And then under Devaraya I and Devaraya II, this whole Vijayanagar actually expanded into Odisha, Karnataka, and part of Kerala even. Okay? So it became a very sort of big empire. Nevertheless, the Sangama dynasty, which was founded by Hariharan Bukka, and then under Devrai 1 and 2, it actually got a little weakened near the inception of 1500 due to various disputes related to succession and nobility factionalism. ठीक है? जो टिपिकली होता रहता है ब्यूरोक्रेट के बीच झगड़ा एंड जो सक्सेशन को लेके जो झगड़ा चलता रहता है. In 1485, Saluva Narasimha usurped the throne, beginning the short-lived Saluva dynasty. फिर Saluva dynasty आया एंड यहाँ पे एक सीन होता है. आई थिंक Saluva dynasty. फिर he had a general called Narasa Nayak, who controlled the power behind the scene, paving the way for his son Krishnadevaraya. तो कृष्णदेवराय उनका जो पिता थे वो एक्चुअली अपना सालुवा डायनेस्टी का सेनापति थे. तो ये जो जब तुलुभा सालु डायनेस्टी और सालुवा डायनेस्टी ये जब खत्म हुआ, यहाँ से फिर विजयनगर का एक उड़ान चालू होता है. जब कृष्णदेवराय, probably one of the greatest kings in recent Hindu history, and probably the last biggest king is Krishnadevaraya, who ruled from 1509 to 1529. उनका जो तुलुवा डायनेस्टी था, और जो यहाँ से विजयनगर एम्पायर बना. So ये जो तुलुवा डायनेस्टी and Krishnadevaraya, he defeated the Bahmani Sultanates and the successors, especially in Bijapur and Golconda. He annexed Odisha, and then he actually held control over the entire eastern coast, the Purva Ghat, and then build monumental architectures. मतलब हम्पी में जो भी बड़ा टेम्पल्स अभी भी जो दिखता है, लगभग सारे कृष्णदेवराय ने बनाया. एक राम का एक मंदिर है, रामायण मंदिर है. फिर यू विल सी विष्णु मंदिर है, विरूपाक्ष टेम्पल है. विरूपाक्ष टेम्पल शायद बहुत दिनों से एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, बट उसका रेनोवेशन वगैरह, गोपुरम बनाना, वो शायद कृष्णदेवराय ने बनाए थे. ऑल्सो ही वॉज अ ग्रेट पोएट. आई वांट टू शो यू समथिंग. हाँ, so this is a book that he wrote and that I got. So this is called the Amukto Malyada.
Okay, it is in
So he
English.
was a poet. So Amukto Malyada was written in Telugu. So let me tell you the story, right?
Yeah.
हाँ, तो इसका स्टोरी ये है कि so this guy Krishnadevaraya, he was a great poet and he knew a large number of Indian languages: Telugu, Kannada, Sanskrit, Tamil. ठीक है. And I think there was a so he got a dream actually. ठीक है. तो इस ड्रीम में क्या हुआ? ड्रीम में तब शायद एक मिनट. हाँ, because he was a Sanskrit scholar, right? So before this, it used to be thought कि जो भी great literature है, it can be written in Sanskrit. Then he got a dream, which is again he has written in this Amukta Malyada, in the initial sort of initial, what do you call it, the preface. He's writing कि I got a dream. मैंने अपना जितने भी मंत्री सभासद थे उनको बुलाया और फिर मैंने मतलब पूछा कि ये जो देवी आई है, देवी का दर्शन हुआ मुझे एंड शी इज सेइंग कि तुम लिखो कुछ जो which will glorify me and this thing, right? And then he's saying कि मतलब वो ड्रीम में ही चल रहा है कि कौन सी लैंग्वेज में लिखे. फिर उन्होंने बोला कि तुम तेलुगु में लिखो. ठीक है. तो देवी ने ये बताई थी कि यू राइट दिस होल पोएट्री इन तेलुगु. सो दैट्स व्हाई ही रोट दिस बुक Krishnadevaraya, the whole book in Telugu, right? And this is still considered one of the greatest major works in Telugu, and it's renowned for its poetic excellence and felicity of expressions. मतलब इस book में when you read the poetries ना, it is a consolidated single sort of poetry. It's sort of a novel written in the form of a poetry, and some of the word play and everything that you will get to see from this work are actually very excellent, and you can still use it. And it actually sort of bridged between the Sanskrit and the colloquial Telugu. So being a king, he is winning wars, right? He's annexing Odisha, he's annexing Kerala, he's annexing Tamil Nadu. And then at the same time, for the Prajas, he's writing poetry. So this was the brilliance of Krishnadevaraya. Um, and फिर हाँ, he also made some treaties, or he settled some issues with the Portuguese, who were actually ruling some part of this Goa. And so, yeah, so this is basically Krishnadevaraya and his brilliance. I am going to actually tell you how Hampi used to look like at the time of Krishnadevaraya, because it is at the time of Krishnadevaraya where a lot of European travelers are coming, because he's making new business deals in modern world, right? Abdul Razak is coming from Persia. Some guy Domingo from again Portugal is coming.
Yeah,
Some guy
let
from
me
France
share
is coming.
something to you. Let me share
Sure,
something.
sure.
I think you might have, I don't know if you know it or not, but there is a
Hmm.
novel called Empire, Devi, and it is written by Devi Yashodharan. It
Hmm.
it is not about actually Hampi, okay, but some part of it is based in a fictional Hampi, okay. So it talks about the Chola Empire, okay. So it's a
Hmm.
novel, fictional novel written on Chola Empire, and some part of actually she drew it from the Vijayanagara Empire in terms of its riches. So actually, this book is based on a city, okay, Vijayanagar city, where there would be a girl from Greece, Rome. She would come here at Vijayanagar, and she will be living in Vijayanagar, and she is from Rome. So it's very interesting where she describes, she has gone through a lot of research to actually find out about the Vijayanagar Empire, how it functioned, how it traded, and she wrote a fictional
Hmm.
novel about this. So this book, I think it's available in many places. Maybe not few places not available, but it's a very
Hmm.
interesting fiction about the golden period of at least South Indian history, and
Yeah.
we could write 1,000 novels about it, but not too many people are writing about it. So I think
Right.
people who want to read fiction, how fiction actually is been written based on the Vijayanagar Empire and other empires, so you can read this book.
Right.
Yeah. Please go ahead. I wanted to just share this information, people.
Right. So to add to it, right, कि
Yeah.
how was विजयनगर, मतलब जब
Hmm.
बोला जाता है कि इंडिया एक जमाने में रिच था बहुत, मतलब सोने का तोता चिड़िया जो भी बोला जाता है, राइट, तो वो जगह मैंने अपने बुक में लिखा है ना, आई एक्चुअली वांट टू रीड फ्रॉम इट और एक्चुअली एक्सप्लेन फ्रॉम इट a few points. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, हाँ, रॉबर्ट सीवल जो बेसिकली हाउ हम्पी एंड विजयनगर गॉट so much promotion in the eyes of the Western historians and the British. तो आई थिंक ये जो रॉबर्ट सीवल जो बंदा था, ये एक्चुअली घूमने आया था, राइट. सो ब्रिटिश इधर उधर घूमते थे एंड दे यूज्ड टू कलेक्ट इम्पोर्टेंट, in the whole process of roaming around India, they used to collect a huge amount of sort of artifacts. They tried to make sense of all these things, and this is how they wrote history. And Robert Sewell actually was roaming around this place called Hampi, and he was mesmerized by the beauty of the ruins in Hampi. So he started to dig deeper, and then he got a few like primary resources. Out of them, there were resources by various foreign travelers, such as Niccolo Conti, who came from Italy, Abdul Razak from Persia, Domingo Pez from Portugal. तो इनका प्राइमरी अकाउंट हाथ में लगा. ही sort of tried to connect, understand local language and try to make sense of what Hampi was, and that's how his book, मतलब probably the original contemporary modern historical thesis, Forgotten Empire, Hampi, a Forgotten Empire, was born in 1900. जो हमें मतलब अभी भी जो जेएनयू वगैरह में जो रिसर्च होता है, प्राइमरी रिकॉर्ड हम्पी का यही है, रॉबर्ट सीवल का जो बुक है. Thank you, Varun, for listening to us, and we feel very privileged कि मतलब people are listening to this podcast where we are trying to recall the glory of Vijayanagara Empire. Right. तो रॉबर्ट सीवल का जो बुक है Forgotten Empire, this is still used in JNU for sort of as the primary sort of I mean it is in the original thesis, right? It's not a primary resource as such, but it is an original sort of thesis on Vijayanagar and Hampi. हाँ, तो what was the, how much was the glory? So Robert Sewell, this guy is writing कि its rulers, I mean the rulers of Vijayanagar, in their day swayed the destinies of an empire far larger than Austria, and the city is declared by a succession of European visitors in the 15th and 16th centuries who have been marvelous for size and prosperity. A city with which, for richness and magnificence, no known Western capital could compare. So these guys are actually the contemporary European historians are writing कि यूरोप में ऐसा कोई city है नहीं which is as glorious, as rich and as magnificent as Hampi. This is in 15th and 16th century, मतलब 1400 से 1600 तक there's no European city which could match Hampi. ठीक है, और इसके बारे में पढ़ाया नहीं जाता. पॉइंट ये है कि इसके बारे में पढ़ाया नहीं जाता. ठीक है. एंड सो लेट मी नाउ गिव यू, क्योंकि हमारा मैप भी डिस्टॉर्टेड है ना, मैप में यूरोप को बड़ा दिखाया जाता है, कनाडा को पता नहीं ग्रीनलैंड को कितना बड़ा दिखाया जाता है, रशिया को ऐसे दिखाया जाता है दुनिया का आधा है. सो मतलब 1-2 मिनट में मुझे 2-3 पॉइंट डिस्कस कर लेंगे थे. ठीक है. बेसिकली महाराष्ट्र, राइट, द साइज ऑफ महाराष्ट्र इज ऑफ द साइज ऑफ इटली. ठीक है. फिर आ जाता है राजस्थान. राजस्थान महाराष्ट्र से बड़ा है. सो इट इज ऑफ द साइज ऑफ मतलब बिगर जर्मनी, सो टू से. ठीक है. द एंटायर वेस्टर्न यूरोप, जितने भी कंट्रीज हैं, राइट, द एंटायर वेस्टर्न यूरोप इज ऑफ द साइज ऑफ आवर इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट. मतलब आप अगर इंडिया, पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश, म्यांमार को जोड़ दो, it is pretty much the entire Europe, entire Western Europe. ठीक है, which include Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, Spain. ठीक है, बाकी बाकी सब जोड़ो उसके साथ, मतलब ब्रिटेन के साथ तो सब कुछ उधर का आ जाता है। डेनमार्क मतलब जो भी स्कैंडिनेवियन कंट्रीज का पार्ट, डेनमार्क आ गया, ऑस्ट्रिया आ गया, स्विट्जरलैंड आ गया, और क्या रह गया, फ्रांस हो गया इधर, जर्मनी हो गया, पोलैंड आ गया थोड़ा बहुत, ठीक है। पोलैंड
Poland
इज
would be
राइट
East Germany. East Germany.
still in the
Uh,
मतलब influence of the influence of the Western Europe, क्योंकि वो तो रशिया के हाथ से लगभग निकल ही चुका है। इटली हो गया अपना, ठीक है। तो ये पूरा जितना भी कंट्रीज आपको फेमस बिग रिच कंट्री जो बोला जाता है, फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज, इसका साइज और इंडिया का साइज लगभग सेम था। देन पाकिस्तान एंड बांग्लादेश गॉट क्रिएटेड। तो इंडिया इतना बड़ा है, ठीक है, अगर आप पूरे सब कॉन्टिनेंट देखो, दिस इज एज बिग एज वेस्टर्न यूरोप। तो ऑस्ट्रिया के साइज का एम्पायर था विजयनगर एम्पायर, जो उस जमाने में काफी बड़ा था, बिकॉज ऑस्ट्रिया लेटर मतलब जो ऑस्ट्रिया और जर्मनी का एक कॉमन सॉर्ट ऑफ लेगेसी है, यू नो।
yes,
तो
Austro-Hungarian Empire.
ऑस्ट्रिया, हाँ हंगेरी भूल गया मैं, हंगेरी था राइट।
Austro-Hungarian Empire.
हाँ, तो वियना जैसे, वियना इज अ वेरी रिच सिटी राइट। तो एनीवे, तो ऑस्ट्रिया का साइज का एक एम्पायर था विजयनगर एम्पायर। इसका जो कैपिटल था अपना हम्पी, इट यूज्ड टू बी 14 mile long and the breadth was around 10 mile, so 140 mile। इसको तो 14 माइल मतलब कितना होता है, लगभग 22 किलोमीटर मान लो, और 10 माइल में 16, तो हाँ लगभग आपका हो गया 350 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर का एक एरिया था। वो कैपिटल था इतना बड़ा। एक मिनट,
Yeah, till then comes. So we will just see that we have a few also document we have prepared for the audience to just to give a visual representation of how the Vijayanagara Empire's achievements looks like. The Vijayanagara Empire achievement as Hindu resistance. So they had ruled for almost 10 years. They had four major dynasties, 12 million square kilometers of area that they have governed. They had 1,000 plus battles, and these are the key historical sources from which we are telling you all this. So we have Nunes Chronicles, Domingo Pease, Peter was talking about. Then you have Abdul Razak. Then there is a Telugu historical chronicle. Rishi, would you do you know anything about this a Telugu historical chronicle?
Mm,
By chance,
no, Raya Bhatakamu, I think it's in the works of S. Krishnaswamy Iyengar in his sources of Vijayanagara. So I specifically don't know because I don't know how to read Telugu itself. But yeah, he has noted this as a contemporary source to know about
Yeah.
more on the Vijayanagara Empire. Yes.
And I want to talk about one more thing. Till Vijayanagar comes, let's talk about the achievements of Vijayanagar Empire. So we can start by looking at the sacred temples of Hampi, the living heritage. So, by any chance, have you visited these temples? The Virupaksha temple, the elephant stables, the Vitthal temple, okay, the Hazara Rama temple, the Krishna temple, Lotus Mahal.
we should discuss this, wait, so एक के बाद एक, विरूपाक्ष टेम्पल राइट। तो विरूपाक्ष टेम्पल का हिस्ट्री ये माना जाता है कि विरूपाक्ष टेम्पल, विरूप अक्षी, विरूप मतलब जहां आंखें विरूप हो गया, तो कब हुआ था, शिव का हुआ था। कब, जब कामदेव और रति, आई गेस राइट, दे वांटेड टू सिड्यूस शिवा, सिड्यूस इन द सेंस कि उनके अंदर काम जगा, मतलब अंग्रेजी में कैसे ट्रांसलेट करें, उन शिव के अंदर काम जगाना चाहते थे राइट। तो इसलिए वो नृत्य कर रहे थे शिवा का ध्यान भंग करने के लिए, क्योंकि आई थिंक कार्तिकेय का जन्म देना था, ऐसा कुछ था राइट। तो फिर शिव को फाइनली उन्होंने जगा दिया, बट शिव विरूप हो गए, तो उनका तीसरा आंख खुल गया, और उससे आई गेस कामदेव जो है, कामदेव भस्म हो गए। नाउ फिर उसके बाद आई थिंक जो रति थे उनकी बीवी, तो वो तो रोने लगी कि हम लोग तो अच्छा काम करने गए थे, बट आपने तो कामदेव को ही भस्म कर दिया। अब तो दुनिया में मतलब रिप्रोडक्शन भी नहीं होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा, लोगों को काम नहीं आएगा, राइट? तो फिर इसलिए कामदेव को अनंग कहा जाता है, राइट? क्योंकि जिसका कोई अंग नहीं है, वो डज नॉट हैव अ फिजिकल फॉर्म. You know, calm does not have a physical form, right? Calm is within you in a intangible form. इसलिए अनंग देव भी कहा जाता है. तो अनंग को फिर जिंदा किया गया, बट उसको बॉडी नहीं मिला. तो ये जहाँ हुआ था, वहाँ बोला जाता है कि विरूपाक्ष जो टेम्पल है उधर वो इंसिडेंट हुआ था. फिर एलिफेंट स्टेबल तो है, मतलब वो तो पैलेस साइड है, अंदर है. विट्ठल टेम्पल भी एक बहुत ही फेमस उस टाइम का, मतलब हमारे हम्पी का जो सबसे फेमस स्कल्पचर है, जो रथ का है ना, कि दो हाथी है रथ को, वो नोट में भी आता है. जो वो एक्चुअली विरूपाक्ष विट्ठल टेम्पल के सामने है वो रथ. मतलब इतना ब्यूटीफुल है, और वो बोला जाता है कि वो पत्थर से बना हुआ है, तो कोई खींच नहीं सकता था. बट आई थिंक विष्णु somehow moved it by some distance, इसलिए उसको वो मतलब वो माना जाता है इट इज अ वेरी सॉर्ट ऑफ पायस सॉर्ट ऑफ स्टोन्ड आर्किटेक्चर. वो विट्ठल टेम्पल के सामने है. एंड विट्ठल टेम्पल वाज सच दैट कि उसका जो पिलर्स होता था, इट लुक्स आइडेंटिकल, बट अलग अलग पिलर को अगर बजाओ तो वो अलग अलग सुर में बजता है. तो जब विट्ठल का आरती होता था, तो आरती के टाइम अलग अलग वो जो कॉलम है उसको बजाया जाता था आरती के टाइम, और गाना गाया, स्तुति जो गाना वाना है वो गाया जाता था. हजारे नाम टेम्पल, अनदर ब्यूटीफुल स्कल्पचर, जिसमें रामायण के बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट काफी सारे चीजें वहां पे चीजल, स्टोन में चीजल किया गया है. लोटस महल, कृष्ण टेम्पल, हनुमान टेम्पल, पट्टवीरामा टेम्पल, मतलब हाँ, इतने सारे रामायण से आपको वहाँ टेम्पल देखने को मिलेगा. बिकॉज द मोस्ट ग्लोरियस emperor who was Krishnadevaraya. So Krishnadevaraya used to patronize every panth, but personally he was a Vaishnav. तो वहाँ पे शैव तो मिलेगा ही, शैव का काफी टेम्पल मिलेगा, बट बहुत सारे आपको राम, विठल, कृष्ण, इनका पट्टविराम, ये सब के, हनुमान, इनके टेम्पल मिलेंगे. ठीक है. तो हाँ, यू कैन गो ऑन. एंड अनदर, हाँ, लोटस
Yeah,
महल, वो भी तो काफी काफी ब्रिलियंट.
I have a question, Vijit.
श्योर श्योर.
Yeah, so नमस्कारम. फर्स्ट टाइम आपको मतलब आपसे बात कर पा रहा हूँ, ऑलवेज ऑन द कमेंट सेक्शन. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर कमिंग टुडे. और
थैंक्स
ये
लॉट.
बात था कि absolutely. So I wanted to ask, यही क्या this is the same Vitthal temple where वो Pandurang Vitthal was kept during like when it was attacked by the Islamic forces at Maharashtra? Was this the same venue where
मुझे मुझे नहीं
Panduranga was
लगता,
kept?
आई एम नॉट श्योर, मुझे
Okay.
नहीं लगता, क्योंकि ये टेम्पल शायद उससे पहले डिस्ट्रॉय हो चुका था. ये टेम्पल
Okay.
1560s को आई गेस ये डिस्ट्रॉय हो चुका था. प्रोबेबली नॉट, बट डोंट कोट मी ऑन दिस.
Okay, okay. So, why I'm saying this because you may educate me on this. So, महाराष्ट्र में एक वो चलता है like there is a tradition actually. So, Bhanudas, the grandfather of Sant Ekanath from the Varkari Sampradaya. So, he is famous for supposedly bringing Pandurang Vitthal back again to Pandharpur in Maharashtra from Karnataka, like in from Vijayanagara. So I always used to think that maybe it was in this Vitthal temple where it was kept like for safekeeping, क्योंकि Islamic forces तो है
आई
ही
हैव टू
एक किस्म
चेक.
के. Okay, okay,
मैं ना
okay.
इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि इसके पीछे
Hmm.
रीजन क्या है, क्योंकि तब जो होता था, तब मतलब हिंदूज नेवर यूज टू वर्शिप इन ब्रोकन टेम्पल्स. बाद में वो थोड़ा चेंज हुआ,
Okay.
हमारे अब तो किया
Hmm.
जाता है, बट एट दैट टाइम इन द
Hmm.
मिडिवल एज दिस वाज द नॉर्म. तो जब अगर
Hmm. Hmm.
मतलब 1560s में ऑलरेडी तोड़ा गया था, तो शायद वहाँ मूर्ति नहीं रखा जाएगा. This is my
Uh,
hunch, but I will have to check, and I can let you know later, maybe in the comment section
okay,
of
okay.
this same podcast.
Okay, okay, definitely, definitely. Nainer, I think, wants to ask you something.
Vijita, have you been to Anjanadri temple there?
अंजनाद्री
Uh,
हाँ right another big temple तो
it
वो
is
सीढ़ी वीढ़ी चढ़
Hanumanji's
के जाना
mother's
पड़ता है
temple, right?
right so I went with my dad and बहुत सारे सीढ़ियाँ है माना जाता है कि वहाँ हनुमान का जन्म हुआ था एंड वो शायद सबसे ऊंचा पॉइंट है और समथिंग वहां से क्योंकि पूरा दिखता है मतलब द होल
Yes, yes.
रिवर एंड द
Originally, I think they
ब्यूटीफुल
used to
हम्पी यू
have a
कैन सी
fort there. They had a fort around that the huge rock, no? That rock type
अच्छा
structure.
अभी तो मंदिर है सिर्फ वो भी मतलब बहुत पुराना मंदिर है एज सच कुछ रिनोवेट तो नहीं किया गया
If I
बट
recall,
हाँ
behind it, you can see Tungabhadra, and in front there is all farmland and all. So I think
हाँ
that's why it's a defensive structure.
राइट मे बी क्योंकि सी आई मीन दे चोज दिस प्लेस हैज बीन चोजन बाय वेरियस emperors or I don't know adventurers because of its strategic location, right? As I said before, कि
Yeah, yeah.
एक तरफ तो तुंगभद्र कृष्णा है एक तरफ यू हैव बिग हिल्स एंड हिल्स भी ऐसा है कि where you can sort of hide you can form caves crevices you can use to make defensive positions
And
तो
you get
इसलिए
good
तो
view from there,
and good
from
view
quite
and
a distance.
beautiful place yes as you have these rocks and then rivers and then the fields right मतलब मैं जब गया था तब तो शायद धान वान उगा था and then so you
It was
have
fully
like okay
green.
you have
Huh?
this
Yes, yes.
hill right hilly area and then river and then you have the huge field where you have crops and all right so it was looking very beautiful at that time.
Vijitra, we have one more guest of ours, Devdeep Das. He is a great fan of yours.
अरे
So,
नमस्कार.
so Devdeep, you can speak in Hindi or Bangla or English, whatever you feel like. So don't worry about the language. But you can ask if you want to ask some questions or you have anything to say. Yeah, Devdeep, you can speak. Speak now. Devdeep, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I am able to hear you. But
अच्छा विठ्ठल मूर्ति
You
is moved to
hello.
Pandharpur when it was attacked. Okay, but was it from the same Vittal temple? That is the question. I will have to check on this one. But thanks Varun for the info.
yeah,
Am I
Devji,
Devdeep.
audible?
we cannot hear you.
No, your voice is cracking. You might just try rejoining with get your headphone. Can you speak once? Let's see. Okay, I think let him join. Yeah, Nina,
Sure.
you have something to say about Hampi. So we are trying to
I already
reminiscent.
said.
Okay, I
हाँ
have
Bhupenda, you are
yeah,
cracking now. Hello.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Now it should be
cracking.
okay. Yeah, I have been to Hampi thrice. Okay, so
अच्छा
like we didn't take any hotel, so we used to like live. The river is this side, and that side you have the temples. Okay, so if you cross the river, you will have these small shacks and huts just beside
हम्म
the hills. So there you will be able to like stay there. Okay. So we were actually like climbing about 20 kilometers every day on different hills, and we will go on the top of the hill and do climbing, and then we'll see the view. So it's quite amazing. Like
yes
apart from the temple itself, the place and the hills are something which is like beyond imagination. And if you
and
go in
every sunset is beautiful sunset there. Bhai
everywhere,
sahab, yeah.
uh,
Sunsets
and
are so good.
one more thing is there. So like if you go in between monsoon, so like you have a monsoon season, and I think in August the rain will little bit less. So that time you will see beautiful blue skies. I have never
अच्छा
seen I have never seen that kind of beautiful open skies in my whole life. If you climb those hills in the morning or afternoon, and you will see some clouds and you will see blue skies across those rolling hills. So, like, Hampi is a very beautiful place, but generally people would watch the temples, go to temples, and they'll go back, but they'll not explore the hills which are there.
Hmm.
So we used to actually explore this whole day itself. So that is something I still remember. Now it's almost 10 years I have been there. Yeah, Devdeep, you are live. You can ask the question.
Hello, Dada. Uh, Hello, Vijitda. Is
হ্যাঁ
the
দেবদীপ
flag having this board? It does it symbolize as something like mocking the militias? Is that that kind of significance also? The board in
flag
the
with
flag,
the अच्छा बोर
board.
The
नहीं
boat.
नहीं बोर का आई थिंक एक हिस्ट्री है आई थिंक बोर का हिस्ट्री गोज बैक टू द टाइम ऑफ हरिहरन बुक्का आई गेस
No, no. Means I am asking that is it only related with the Varaha avatar or it mocks their opponents also?
I think it is related to the Vara Avatar much more than it is about mocking the military. Because, see, at that time, since the time of this guy, Devraya II, right, there are already the Muslim archers and cavalry men who were part of the army. So I refuse to believe this is about mocking militias. But when Harihar and Bukka were part of the Delhi Sultanate when they were ruling, probably they saw some Varaha, like they had some divine whatever, probably dream or some incident that they encountered. And then the interpretation came from our Vidyaranya that okay, Vishnu ka ye aaya hai, and you have to now establish a kingdom. You have to become this, you have to do the Gharvapsi, and you have to establish kingdom in not I mean at that time it was called समाधान आई थिंक अनिगुंडी वाज द इनिशियल नेम कि यहाँ पे तुम्हें ये बनाना होगा अपना एम्पायर बनाना होगा सो हरिहरन बुक्का को क्योंकि ये ड्रीम आया था दैट्स व्हाई दे हैड द बोर देयर एंड इट आल्सो एक्सप्लेन द सेम थिंग कि ज्यादातर वैष्णव क्यों थे बिकॉज एट द वेरी फाउंडेशन ऑफ दिस एम्पायर दे हैड दिस वराह अवतार का या तो सपना आया था या कुछ रियल टाइम कुछ एनकाउंटर हुआ था
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have
Actually,
any
first I
more?
go into. Now,
Go
I
ahead.
want to
Go ahead.
speak a few words about the Vijayanagar Sultanate. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Vijayanagar
Go ahead.
Empire.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The thing is, I have not seen the entire live stream, so I may repeat a few things. But the thing is, at first I came about this Vijayanagar Empire through a novel by Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay, Tungabhadra Tire.
Right, right. Exactly.
So there also the protagonist was actually running from the Mlecha kings, and he entered, and then a love story
So
unfolds. And
it was probably so Sarodindu in this ঐতিহাসিক উপন্যাস সমগ্র
yes, yes,
he
it's
so when
Tungabhadra
he
Tire.
wrote he explicitly claimed कि real time character से लिया गया मतलब not only about this Tungabhadra Tire but pretty much
No, actually,
every story is
every time Sharadindu used to write a historical novel, he used to tell that this is more of a history than a novel. Like it was
right
his claim.
so no
So,
so he also wrote कि his exact word was कि আমি মানে আমি অপলাপ করিনি ইটস লাইক আই হ্যাভ নট সাবভার্টেড ইট বাট आई हैव बीन इन्फ्लुएंस्ड फ्रॉम दिस रियल स्टोरीज तुंगभद्रा
and
तीरे
I
का जो
think, yes,
हम्म
Yeah. Go. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Devdeep. Go ahead.
like Shadashib, that highlights the characters of the highlights the glory of the Maratha Empire. Similarly, this Tungabhadra Tire highlights the Vijayanagar Empire. So
नो
this has inspired me a lot.
सदाशिव वाज अ रियल हिस्टोरिकल कैरेक्टर
Yes, but I think this one, the one of the Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay is a little bit fictional only. But like Shadashiv as a, but this is not Shadashiv Rao Bhau. He's a different Shadashiv.
नो अच्छा एक मिनट सदाशिव वाज एक्चुअली
No,
सेनापति
no,
ऑफ समवन हाँ
no.
सदाशिव
This is
नायक
different
राइट
Shadashiv. This is different Shadashiv. I think
so
he
this
is
was
not
the
the brother of
Keladi
the Peshwa.
chief of Sadashiv Nayak who who probably thwarted the attack on Vijayanagar by Ibrahim Adil Shah.
No, this is different Sadashiv. This is the Shivaji's subordinate.
Acha. Okay.
So I am just telling that through Sharadindu, I came to know various heroes of the past Hindu glory. So
Right.
in that way, I came across the Vijayanagara Empire. I think with the history of the Vijayanagara Empire is enough to debunk every leftist narrative that is present. First of all, they claim about the caste hierarchy. So I want to inform that this Vijayanagar people are Sudra. They come from the Yadav caste. Secondly,
Right.
they claim that Hindus are believe in patriarchy, but if you go down the biographies of the then kings, then it is clear that the kings used to spend most of the time in doing physical training and all sorts of things, and the administrative part was completely uh, looked after by the women of the empire. So, and third of all, that the Vijayanagar Empire, I think, also excelled in the trade,
Hmm.
making them one of the richest empire in their time. And
Right.
lastly, I want to conclude that they made the part of the Gharvapsi movement through Harihar and Bukka.
Right. Right. It was
And I
probably
think
the very first Gharvapsi that we ever know. Am I wrong?
we never know actually, because for example, in the
No,
Somnath
I mean in
also,
the
they
historical
converted.
record. In the historical record.
Officially, they were the first Gharvapsi people.
Right.
No,
I
they
don't
were
know of any
before
incident
also.
before this one, before Harihar and Bukka.
I
Who
think
did
the
Gharvapsi.
7 shackles that Savarkar talks about, I think they have broken most of them.
Right.
This is
Every bandi that you talk about, right?
uh, everyone. And I think
Um,
one thing we must remember that we must not keep our enemies intact. Like the Vijayanagar Empire people thought that they will divide and rule over the Bahmani Sultanate. But I
hmm,
think had they destroyed the entire Sultanate, it would have been much better for them.
right, but probably Ramuraya did not have that much capability. I don't know. I wanted to tell you
We
one
actually
more
don't
thing,
know.
actually, guys, in this scope that came to my mind. It was about Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay Oitihashik Upanyash Samagra, the collection of historical novels. In that sort of collection of novels, there is a place where Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay is actually talking about this narrative, which is the Aryan invasion theory, right? So, because this work is fictional, he very evidently using the theory, the hypothesis of Aryan invasion, he's playing with it. Like maybe this happened, maybe that happened, in such a way. If you read those sections right from Sharadindu Upanyash
Are you
novels,
referring to the
that
story where? Sorry. Are you referring to the story where of the moon of the lunar eclipse or the solar
that
eclipse that
I
when
don't remember the exact novel, but like I
that the
remember
two
ki
brothers.
when he's saying na, we can see the mood of the author that is coming out. कि okay ये एक theory आया है which we probably don't believe that much, but let's play with it to create a story, which actually shows कि at that time how Aryan invasion theory was perceived by the intellectuals in India. And if you read Aurobindo probably, as far as I know, was the first guy who started to openly write and criticize about the Aryan invasion theory, saying that this is merely
Dada,
hypothesis, it cannot have any proof. But if you read Sarodindu and this part of this collection of historical novels, here you can see ki the Indian intellectuals, they used to sort of, you know, use this Aryan invasion theory as a content that they can use to write novel, not for some serious historical research.
Dada, have you read about any writing of Ahmad Safa?
No.
There was a novel of Ahmed Safa, Aulat Chokro. So this is the story on the backdrop that when the Bangladeshi refugees took place in India, so Safa was one of the character was one of them, and he was trying to he was trying to join the Mukti Bahini and sort of. So in this process, they came across a character who offers Safa a job. Sorry, it's not Safa. That character a job for writing for a magazine which talks about the Saraswati civilization. So since this work of Safa is based on 1971, so I feel there has been always an underground movement in the Hindu society about this Saraswati civilization.
Obviously, I mean, these are not new narratives that are coming out. I mean,
Like
these,
in that very novel, the character was shown in a way that he criticizes Muslim very much. So when that character who was a Muslim was sitting in front of him, so he thought that when the character will know that this character who is sitting in front of him is a Muslim, he may soften his voice. But he
hmm,
actually, after knowing that also that he is a Muslim, he just continues the way in which he is talking. And despite knowing Muslim, he gives him a job of translator,
hmm,
basically, of his some magazine. And there also, I find it interesting that this narrative of Saraswati civilization is standing long back.
right. True. I mean,
And for the people's knowledge, so this is a book by Mr. G.D. Bakshi.
Yeah,
He wrote the book
right,
called The Saraswati Civilization. So people who are interested in learning about it, you can get the book.
right.
can
Yeah.
you please light something on the Dada? Can you please light something more on the wars between Gajapatis and Vijayanagars? I think they affected the Hindu unity to a great extent adversely.
Right. Uh, Gajapati and Vijayanagar, yeah, actually, this is not the plan. So again, probably I'll write about it in the comment section. What I wanted to discuss was this part. So weakening was one part, but for the what I wanted to discuss कि रामराय के time में, so the prelude to the Battle of Talikota, जहाँ पे बोला जाता है कि रामराय was playing well in handling all these five Bahmani sultanates. But eventually, these five Bahmani Ashrafi Islamic Sultanate, they sort of hatched a plan. Ki, okay, we have to. It's like a Khilafat, right? Against a Hindu empire. And then all of them pretty much, they either stayed mute spectator or they attacked विजयनगर एंड डिस्ट्रॉयड इट. ये वाला पार्ट में बोल एक्चुअली, हाँ अगर टाइम कुछ रह गया है डिस्कस
Yeah, no,
कर सकते
you
हो.
can read it. You can read it. We have time. No problem.
हाँ रीड मतलब एक्चुअली उससे पहले हम लोग जहाँ चालू किए थे कि
Hmm, hmm.
हाउ व्हाट वाज द हाउ मच वाज द प्रोस्पेरिटी राइट ऑफ विजयनगर. तो हाँ सो जहाँ पे मैंने छोड़ा था इट वाज लाइक ओके अराउंड 300 to 350 स्क्वायर माइल एक एरिया था कैपिटल का. And it was fully crowded with traders, consuls, ambassadors, military officers, wrestlers, singers, artisans, musicians, masons, dancers, smiths, priests, foreign adventurers, temple worshippers, engineers, trainers of horses and elephants, players of all descriptions, dancing girls and their numerous admirers and followers, poets and their pupils, bodyguards and palanquin bearers, manufacturer, workmen of all grades, governors, viceroys, and these vast crowds of humanity whose business was to pander the taste of the loyalty and nobility, and whose number alone would have given a very respectable population to any one of our modern flourishing cities. ठीक है. So basically, मतलब it was a very prosperous sort of capital जहाँ पे हर तरह का ट्रेडर से शुरू होकर आर्टिस्ट एम्बेसडर सारे तरह के लोग थे. And it had various markets that would sell jewels such as pearls and diamonds publicly. The king's palaces, not only that, but also the local neighborhoods were built of chiseled and polished stones. The castle itself was 9-storied and magnificently ornamented. In the 9th story was placed the throne of the king, made of gold and enriched with precious jewels. Abdul Razak, a Persian traveler, writes, the city of Vijayanagar is such that the pupil of the eye had never been informed that there existed anything to equal it in the world. मतलब जो इंफॉर्मेशन आंखों में आ रहा है उससे यकीन नहीं हो रहा है कि ऐसा चीज ऐसा जगह एग्जिस्ट कर सकता है. ठीक है. The jewelers sell publicly in the bazaars pearls, rubies, emeralds, and diamonds. In this agreeable locality, as well as in the king's palace, there are numerous streams and canals formed of chiseled stone, polished and smooth. And then over this magnificent space, which is the castle, were erected numerous pavilions to the height of 3, 4, and even 5 stories, covered from top to bottom with figures in relief. So basically, 9 story एक castle था जहाँ 9 story पे king का throne था. 3, 4, even 5 story लंबा columns हुआ करता था, which is chiseled with various मूर्तिज and figures. और ये शायद घूमता था, तो एक टाइम इंटरवल के बाद उसका अलग अलग फैसेट्स दिखता था. ठीक है. And in front of this, in front of this palace rose a palace with 9 pavilions. In the 9th, there was king's throne. The throne, which was of extraordinary size, made of gold and enriched with precious stones of extreme value. The roof and the walls were entirely formed of plates of gold enriched with precious stones. Each of these plates were as thick as the blade of a sword and was fastened with golden nails. तो मतलब जो पैलेस था हमारा जैसे प्लास्टर होता है वहाँ प्लास्टर सोने का हुआ करता था और उस पे जो कीलें लगती थी द नेल्स इवन दोज नेल्स यूज्ड टू बी मेड ऑफ गोल्ड. फिर हाँ कृष्णदेव राय वाज रेस्पेक्टफुल टू ऑल sects of Hindu Dharma, but he was a Vaishnav in his personal practice. And then he had passion for literature, right? ये जो अमुक्तो माल्य था उन्होंने लिखा है. And he was apparently a very romantic poet. I mean, if you read from there, the way he describes moment and everything. So he was a very romantic poet, classic romantic poet. And then, then obviously Domingos, the Portuguese traveler, writes that he is the most feared and the perfect king that could possibly be. Babar, in Babarnama, actually talks about Krishnadevaraya. And he says कि Krishnadevaraya is the most powerful ruler of India. ठीक है. So कृष्णदेवराय के बाद आई थिंक अच्युत देव राय आया और वहां से थोड़ा डिमाइस चालू हुआ. फिर उसके बाद राम राय, राजा राम राय आया और राम राय वाज द लास्ट emperor of this great Vijayanagar Empire. And now we are going to understand कि इतना अगर एक ग्लोरियस एम्पायर हिंदू एम्पायर था जो 300 साल से राज किया, जो एट द टाइम व्हेन द मुगल दिल्ली सल्तनत वाज एक्सपेंडिंग टू द साउथ. सारे तो आजकल मुगल ही हो गए हैं बट ठीक है. तो दिल्ली सल्तनत वाज एक्सपेंडिंग एंड दिस इज 1556 राइट. तो ऑलरेडी 1564 में टालीकोटा हुआ तो ऑलरेडी अकबर आ गया है राइट. 1556 में अकबर आ गया. तो हाँ, तो इधर नॉर्थ में अकबर था तब 1564 में और साउथ में था. और एक चीज बताया था 1526 इज द पानीपत, फर्स्ट बैटल ऑफ पानीपत. जब बाबर आया उस टाइम पे था कृष्णदेवराय. फिर अच्युत देवराय कुछ दिन के लिए रहा. तब तो दिल्ली में ये हुमायूं और शेरशाह का वो स्ट्रगल चल रहा था. 1556 में अकबर आता है. 1564 में बैटल ऑफ टालीकोटा होता है जहाँ अपना राम राय को एसोसिनेट किया जाता है एंड बीहेड किया जाता है. तो ये कहानी कहाँ से शुरू होता है कि so now let us try to understand the circumstances. So here is this Vijayanagar Empire, and Raja Ram Rai is surrounded by these Bahmani sultanates, which are 5 Ashrafi Deccan sultanates: Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Vidar, and Virar. And in 1542 to 43, the Bijapur and Ahmednagar empires came together to sort out their differences.
Has
यहाँ
Dada
पे
left the chat?
No, no.
I
I
think
think
he's back.
we lost it. We lost. Wait, you are on. You are on.
अच्छा कितने देर के लिए you lost me?
3 seconds, 3
For
4 seconds, not more than that.
अच्छा ठीक है
5-10
तो
seconds.
हाँ
Dada, will you describe in detail also that how once they helped the Vijayanagar Empire helped the Sansalat in the war, but in the war they took too much, so the one who lost also and the one who won also, both of them were angry. Are you going to describe that part also?
हाँ थोड़ा बहुत मैं कवर करता हूँ अभी क्विकली ठीक है तो बेसिकली क्या है बीजापुर एंड अहमदनगर का एक पैक्ट हुआ हियर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 5 सल्तनत बीजापुर गोलकुंडा अहमदनगर विदार एंड वेरार बीजापुर अहमदनगर का 1540 टू 43 में एक पैक्ट होता है कि अपना डिफरेंस मिटाते हैं और फिर विजयनगर को थोड़ा चैलेंज करते हैं फिर बीजापुर अहमदनगर में इन्होंने डिसाइड किया बीजापुर विल चैलेंज विजयनगर और अहमदनगर विल अटैक विदार ठीक है और फिर अपना बीजापुर का जो था इब्राहिम आदिल शाह ही अटैक्ड विजयनगर ठीक है बट देन ही वाज थ्वार्टेड बाय द सदाशिव नायक हु वाज अ केलाड़ी चीफ ठीक है इन 1548 विदार का एक फोर्ट है कल्याणी फोर्ट व्हिच वाज कैप्चर्ड बाय अहमदनगर ठीक है सुल्तान का नाम था निजाम शाह बुरहान निजाम शाह सो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ बीजापुर अटैक विजयनगर but Bijapur actually got defeated, whatever. Vijayanagar defended itself. बीदर को अटैक किया अहमदनगर ने और कैप्चर किया बीदर को एंड अहमदनगर का तब सुल्तान था बुरहान निजाम शाह नाउ देन क्या हुआ बुरहान शाह जब था बुरहान निजाम शाह डाइड इन 1553 ठीक है जो अहमदनगर का चीफ था बेसिकली देन बीजापुर और अहमदनगर का टसल चालू हुआ तो इनिशियली 1542 में इन दोनों का थोड़ा पैक्ट बन गया था बट 10 साल में इनका खुद का टसल चालू हो गया तब क्या हुआ कि जो सुल्तान था अहमदनगर का हुसैन निजाम शाह ही अलाइड विद गोलकुंडा बीजापुर को अटैक करने के लिए एंड गुलबर्गा 1557 को कैप्चर किया द पॉइंट इज कि ये जो इब्राहिम आदिल शाह थे इब्राहिम आदिल शाह whose plan was to attack Ram Rai now he had to come back to Ram Rai and ask for his help तो तब क्या किया राम राय ने he gathered all the parties और he at the confluence of Bhima and Krishna river he arrived upon some treaties ठीक है इधर जो इब्राहिम आदिल शाह था उसका बेटा आली आदिल शाह ठीक है तो आली आदिल शाह अपना जो बीजापुर का जो सुल्तान था उसका बेटा आली आदिल शाह ही ट्राइड टू इम्प्रूव द रिलेशन विद विजयनगर ठीक है ये अपना बीजापुर का केस चल रहा है यहाँ पे ये दिस इज बीइंग रिपोर्टेड बाय फेरिस्ता ठीक है इन हिज बुक रामराय लॉस्ट वन ऑफ हिज सन्स सो रामराय का एक बच्चे का देहांत हुआ था एंड देन आली इसका फायदा उठाया जो अपना बीजापुर का सुल्तान था तो आली वेंट टू विजयनगर टू पे हिज कॉन्डोलेंसेस एंड ही वाज रिसीव्ड विद ग्रेट ऑनर रामा's wife रामराय's wife adopted Ali as his own son जो बीजापुर का सुल्तान था एंड इन 1560 जब हुसैन निजाम शाह ने बीजापुर अटैक किया अहमदनगर का जो किंग था तब रामराया एक्चुअली रिमाइंडेड गोलकुंडा का जो सुल्तान था कुतुब शाह कि तुम्हारा हमारा तो पीस ट्रीटी है तो डोंट सॉर्ट ऑफ गैंग अप विद अहमदनगर एंड देन कंबाइंडली ही अटैक द निजाम शाह ठीक है जो अपना अहमदनगर का था सो निजाम देन हैड टू बीट अ रिट्रीट and the allied force chased Nizam Shah and beat him at the Battle of Jamkhed. Post this, Ramaraya attacked the Badid Shah of Bidar defeated him and made him thenceforth help Vijayanagar army in their future battle. तो यहाँ पे क्या क्या हुआ, अभी तक जितना भी हमने कांड बोला, तो इस तरह से 10-15 साल एक डिप्लोमेसी चल रहा है, जहाँ पे अभी तक हमने क्या किया कि जो बीजापुर का जो अली आदिल शाह था, जो सुल्तान था, उसको अपना बेटा बनाया राम राय ने। गोलकुंडा के साथ एक पीस ट्रीटी था, जो गोलकुंडा का सुल्तान कुतुब शाह था, तो इसलिए उनको अटैक भी नहीं किया, बट ही रिमाइंडेड, रामराय रिमाइंडेड कि हमारा पीस ट्रीटी है, और उनका हेल्प लेके फिर जो अहमदनगर का निजाम शाह था उनको फिर हराया। ठीक है, फिर क्या हुआ, फिर जब निजाम शाह जब न्यूट्रलाइज, मतलब मरे नहीं, बट उनका अटेम्प्ट जब न्यूट्रलाइज हुआ, तब रामराय ने जो 5th सल्तनत था विदर, उनको अटैक किया, फिर डिफीट किया। ठीक है, फिर विदर का जो आर्मी था उनका हेल्प मांग लिया इन द विजयनगर आर्मी। तो इस तरह से लगभग पांचों के पांचों जो किंगडम थे उनको अलग अलग, किसी को बेटा बनाया, किसी के साथ पीस ट्रीटी किया, और बाकी जो था 2-3 जो था उनको हराया। उनमें से एक किंगडम का, एटलीस्ट एक किंगडम का जो सॉर्ट ऑफ बैटल हार्डेंड आर्मी था, उनको अपना विजयनगर आर्मी में सॉर्ट ऑफ इंक्लूड कर लिया, एलाई बना लिया। नाउ यहाँ पे क्या क्या हुआ, फिर जो कुतुब शाह थे, कुतुब शाह जो गोलकुंडा के सुल्तान थे, और निजाम शाह जो अहमदनगर के सुल्तान थे, बिकॉज दे गॉट ह्यूमिलिएटेड एंड डिफीटेड, उन्होंने फिर अपना पैक्ट बनाया। ठीक है, गोलकुंडा एंड अहमदनगर, एंड नाउ व्हाट they gave the twist and they gave the narrative of this खिलाफत, राइट, कि हम पांचों मुस्लिम सल्तनत है और हम लोग आपस में क्यों लड़ रहे हैं, यहाँ पे एक हिंदू किंग बैठा हुआ है, पांचों मिलके इनको हराते हैं। ठीक है, so they attempted finally to make an alliance of ashrafs under the flag of Islam. They resolved their differences, held marriages between their dynasties and formed a general league of the faithfuls. ठीक है, कि दीन के लिए लड़ो टाइप एक आर्मी बनाया। अली आदिल शाह प्लेड अ डबल गेम हियर। अली आदिल शाह मतलब जिसको बेटा बनाया गया था, राम राय ने जिसको अपना मुंह बोला बेटा बनाया था, उनकी बीवी ने भी, रामा's wife also adopted Ali Adil Shah. Ali Adil Shah played a double game here and played a crucial role for the destruction of the same empire that gave him refuge in his challenging times and whose queen adopted him as her own son. This pattern of Ashrafi Islamic forces forming one union to crush indomitable Hindu forces is a common theme in the history of India. ये तो बार बार हो चुका है। हाल फिल्म में मुस्लिम लीग के साथ हुआ है, राइट, हाल फिल्म, और भी हाल फिल्म में कश्मीर का हुरियत और पाकिस्तान का अलायंस हुआ है, फॉर एग्जांपल। एनीवे, नाउ फिर ये जो पांचों बहामनी सल्तनत थे, इनका जो अशराफी अलायंस बना, they assembled on the plain of Bijapur and began to march toward Vijayanagar near the end of 1564. They reached Talikota on 26th of December 1564. The battlefield was on the southern bank of Krishna and near the villages of Rakshasi and Tangadi. The Hindu and the Ashraf armies had a face-off for over a month. तो आई थिंक रिवर के अगल, मतलब इस तरफ और उस तरफ कैंप बनाया गया था एक, और ये जो कॉन्फ्रंटेशन था इट वाज 1 month लॉन्ग, और उस 1 month के दौरान गजब मतलब डिप्लोमेसी खेला गया। कौन सा डिप्लोमेसी खेला गया, क्योंकि ये जो बहामनी सल्तनत थे, इनको पता था कि जो रामराय का जो आर्मी है वहाँ पे काफी सारे जो कैवलरी मैन है और जो इम्पोर्टेंट सेनापति है वहाँ पे, cavalry actually was under the गिलानी ब्रदर्स। ठीक है, और जो बाकी उनका अलग सा एक सॉर्ट ऑफ बैटेलियन था which was a completely मुस्लिम बैटेलियन। नाउ पॉइंट यहाँ पे ये है कि अपना जो यू कैन आस्क कि ये रामराय का प्लान नहीं था कि ये मतलब इतना मुस्लिम अपने आर्मी में ठूसे। ये प्लान एक्चुअली चालू हुआ था किसके टाइम में, अपना देवराय सेकंड के टाइम में मुस्लिम सोल्जर लेना चालू हुआ था, इंक्लूड करना। बट रामराय आते आते इन्होंने बड़े बड़े जो पोस्ट थे वो मुस्लिमों को देना राजा रामराय ने चालू कर दिया था। जैसे कैवलरी का जो सेनापति था, जो गोला और कमान का जो सेनापति था वो गिलानी ब्रदर्स थे. एंड द बहामनी, ऑब्वियसली बहामनी सुल्तानेट न्यू अबाउट इट. तो वो नदी के इस पार थे, इस पार से दे ट्राई टू पार्सिवेट द मुस्लिम सोल्जर्स एंड द सेनापतिस. ठीक है. हाँ, realizing that Ramaraya's army would be, initially Nizam Shah and Qutub Shah had to face temporary defeat when their divisions clashed with the division of Tirumala Roy, the brother of Ram Roy. तो जब इनिशियली जब जंग चालू हुआ तो थोड़ा बहुत इनको रिट्रीट मिला था, बट देन दे रियलाइज्ड कि डायरेक्ट अगर मतलब फाइट हो जाता है तो विजयनगर एम्पायर को हम लोग तबाह नहीं कर सकते. देन द अशराफी players started to play deceitful strategies. They tried different things like pretending to attempt peaceful solutions, making false negotiations and false promises, trying to exploit the good relations between Adil Shah and Ramarai in the past, etc. They also started communication with the Muslim officers in the Ramarai's army. ठीक है. फिर क्या होता है? हाँ, फिर वही है कि देवराय टू ने तो ये सब इंक्लूशन चालू कर दिया था, बट राजा राम रॉय जो थे वहां का, जब विजयनगर का उस टाइम का महाराज जो थे, मतलब ही वेंट एक्चुअली लिटिल फार. तो रामराय began to admit large number of Muslim soldiers into his army. He showed further imprudence by employing ashrafs in the offices, main offices. And then ये देख के एक्चुअली फिर ashraf nobles left their sultans and joined Rama's army to receive post in accordance with their old status. मतलब एक तो विजयनगर वाज अ वेरी प्रॉस्परस एम्पायर, तो जो बहामनी सल्तनत के बड़े बड़े ऑफिसर्स थे, तो वो फिर जैसे बांग्लादेश से इंडिया में काम करने के लिए आते हैं, उसी तरह से बहामनी सल्तनत छोड़ के विजयनगर में काफी सारे मुस्लिम ऑफिसर्स ऑलरेडी आ रहे थे एंड दे वर एज्यूमिंग ऑफिसर्स. ठीक है. Ramaraya took great care of these ashrafs in and outside the court. He placed a copy of Quran above the throne so that ashraf could pay respect to it while entering the court. क्योंकि राजा के सामने झुकना होता है. और फिर ये जो अशराफी ऑफिसर्स थे, दे यूज्ड टू से कि हम लोग तो अल्लाह के अलावा और किसी के आगे झुकते नहीं है, तो ये कैसे पॉसिबल होगा. फिर इसको सुलझाने के लिए रामराय ने क्या किया कि अपना जो थ्रोन है यहाँ पे कुरान डाल दिया, मतलब खुद के ऊपर एक कुरान रख दिया. तो इसलिए जब अशराफी ऑफिसर्स आते थे राजा को, मतलब एज इफ दे प्रिटेंडिंग कि कुरान के आगे झुक रहे हैं, तो रामराय के हिसाब से वो जो पर्पस था कि कोर्ट में राजा के आगे झुकना होगा, वो पर्पस सॉल्व हो जाता था. तो इस तरह से अपीजमेंट चालू हुआ था, एक मुस्लिम अपीजमेंट चालू हुआ था इन मॉडर्न वर्ड्स. ठीक है. तो फिर रामराय अलॉटेड स्पेशियस लैंड to the ashraf for settlement and for setting up markets. तो अशराफों के लिए मार्केट वार्केट सब कुछ बना दिया गया था. These ashraf used to be known as Turk. तुर्की बोला जाता था उन्हें. So the streets were named Turkwala. Ramray instructed them to be firm in their religion and check whether the animals were killed in Islamic way. जवा किया, मतलब रामराय ने ये ऑर्डर भी दे दिया था कि अगर मतलब जो बेसिकली एनिमल को हलाल तरीके से काटा जाएगा, कोई भी बलि वली हो रहा है तो वो हलाल प्रथा से होने वाला है. Rama's elder brother and other courtiers asked him to stop the killing of animals in the kingdom, क्योंकि गो हत्या तो सॉर्ट ऑफ हिंदू के हिसाब से बैन है. तो इनके जो परिवार वाले थे रामराय के, वो मना कर रहे थे कि ये सब झंझट क्यों ला रहे हो अपने एम्पायर में, लेकिन रामराय सुने नहीं. Ramray instead replied, these people have accepted your jobs for putting services, not to quit or change their religion. They should not be troubled, so that they may serve you sincerely and loyally. ठीक है. फिर furthermore, Ramray appointed two Ashrafi commanders, the Gilani brothers, who had earlier served in Adil Shah's army and had participated in the Battle of Talikota. These naivety proved fatal for the Vijayanagar Empire in the battle. तो गिलानी ब्रदर्स जो आदिल शाह के वहां काम कर चुके थे, उनको फिर यहाँ अपॉइंट कर दिया गया. ये गोला बंदूक और जो कमान थे, जो कैवलरी डिवीजन था, उनका हेड बना दिया गया. ठीक है. ऑन 23rd of January 1565, within the first 2 hours of the fight, Ramaray's army started to fire on the ranks of Barid Shah. The Ashrafi army was in trouble with heavy fire. तो कैनन से जब फायरिंग हो रहा था This infantry led by Venkatadri started to decimate the division of Barid Shah. Qutub Shah was also in retreat. Nizam Shah had to send forces to defend the ranks of the Ashrafi sultans. This assault was so shocking that it looked like the victory of Ramraya was just a matter of time. This is Robert Sewell writing. ठीक है? जो I think फरिश्ता से उठा है. The heavy cannon division kept on firing. Cannon division जो Gilani brothers के अंडर थे. They kept on firing on the Nizam Shah. And overall, the valor of Ramaraya's army was so glorious that it looked like their victory was imminent. However, some important events happened thereafter that changed the fate of this battle and the fate of Hindus in the south for some time. So the Sultan signaled the Gilani brothers, who were the Ashrafi commanders of Ramaraya's army. The Muslim officers of Ramaraya soon started the betrayal of their own army. ठीक है, तो रामराया के जो जितने मुस्लिम ऑफिसर्स थे वो बिट्रे करना चालू कर दिया. And at that time, in that battle, Ramaraya had almost 1.4 lakhs Muslim troops within the army, and they opened a rear attack and captured the artillery power. तो 1,40,000 सेना ने बैटलफील्ड में बगावत कर दिया. And they started to capture the artillery power to launch a subversive attacks on its own. तो 1,40,000 सेना अपने तरफ मुड़ गए. मतलब they actually betrayed Ramray. They started to attack the Ramray's army itself. Several cannon balls landed near Ramaray's elephant. According to Ferishta, Ramaraya had ignored the pleas of his. हाँ, तो रामराय को फिर जो उनके मंत्री थे उन्होंने मना किया था कि आप मत जाओ, आपको बैटलफील्ड में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. बट रामराय फिर एक अपना एलिफेंट लेके, अपना एक हाथी लेके बैटलफील्ड में निकल गए थे. तो ये जो कैवलरी डिवीजन का काफी सारा मतलब वहां से कैनन बॉल इट स्टार्टेड टू लैंड नियर द एलिफेंट. तो फिर क्या हुआ, फिर रूमी खान, a Turkish artillery officer, charged towards Ramaraya with his elephant. Ramaraya fell from his palanquin, and got injured. Rumi Khan initially had no idea that the person laying guardless on the ground was none other than the greatest of all Indian kings at that time, Raja Ram Roy. But Rama's vakil, क्या नाम था इनका, Dal Patraya, jumped over Ram Roy, shielded him from the elephant, revealing the identity of the king. Rumi Khan then tied him with a rope and put him on an elephant to present him before the Sultan Nizam Shah. ठीक है. Then when he was presented, Ramaraya was presented before Sultan Nizam Shah. The Sultan asked Ramaraya to accept Allah as the only God, but Ramaraya refused it, saying कि Narayana Krishna Bhagavanta. Nizam Shah did not hesitate to slit the throat of his arch nemesis of a long time and soon declared him a Ghazi in jihad. Ramaraya's severed head was put on a spear and waved before the Hindu soldiers. The Hindus faced a rout and around 1 lakh troops were slain. 1 lakh Hindu सेना को खत्म कर दिया गया. Those who could flee survived, but the rest became the victim of Islamic jihad. The Muslim army entered the city and beheaded several tens of thousands of male inhabitants. मतलब कोई भी आर्टिस्ट हो, ठीक है, नॉर्मल इनहेबिटेंट हो, 10,000 ऐसे लोगों का सर काट दिया गया. The young Hindu women were captured and made sex slave. तो जो विजयनगर की लड़कियां थी, वुमेन थे, उनको सेक्स स्लेव बना के हारेम में भेज दिया गया. The rest were burnt alive in hundreds of groups. बाकी को के ऊपर आग जला, बाकी को जला दिया गया. The city was looted for 5 months, after which the sultans set the city ablaze. 5 महीना तक सिटी को लूट के फिर आग लगा दिया गया. The heat of the city fire was so intense that it left cracks in the peripheral granite hills. ठीक है, ग्रेनाइट हिल जो था, पहाड़ था, उसमें चिड़ आ गया बिकॉज ऑफ द हीट कमिंग फ्रॉम द सिटी. फिर रॉबर्ट सिवेल यहाँ पे लिखते हैं अपने बुक में, quote, now the Muslim army had reached the capital, and from that time forward, for a space of 5 months, Vijayanagar knew no rest. The enemy had come to destroy, and they carried out their object relentlessly. They slaughtered the people without mercy, broke down the temples and palaces, and wreaked such savage vengeance on the abode of the kings that, with the exception of a few great stone built temples and walls, nothing now remains but a heap of ruins to mark the spot where once the stately buildings stood. They demolished the statues and even succeeded in breaking the limbs of the huge Narasimha monolith. Nothing seemed to escape them. They broke up the pavilion standing on the huge platform from which the kings used to watch the festivals and overthrew all the carved work. They lit huge fires in the magnificently decorated buildings forming the temple of Vithala Swami near the river and smashed its exquisite stone sculptures. With fire and sword, with crowbars and axes, they carried on day after day their work of destruction. Nothing, perhaps, in the history of the world has such havoc been wrought, and wrought so suddenly on so splendid a city, teeming with a wealthy and industrious population in the full plenitude of prosperity one day, and on the next sieged, pillaged, and reduced to ruins, amid scenes of savage massacre and horrors begging description. ठीक है, तो 5 महीना मैसेकर और जेनोसाइड किया गया एक सिटी के ऊपर. अच्छा, नरसिम्हा का जो, तो बेसिकली कृष्णदेव रॉय नहीं, शायद एक आप जाओगे हम्पी में तो देयर इज अ बिग स्टोन कट मूर्ति ऑफ नरसिम्हा. तो देयर आर 2 नरसिम्हा प्रोबेबली, एक जो शायद इनको बोला जाता है शांत नरसिम्हा और समथिंग, एंड एक उग्र नरसिम्हा है. तो शांत जो दूसरा था मूर्ति, द पीसफुल नरसिम्हा, उनको तो पूरा तोड़ दिया गया. एंड दीज वर ग्रेनाइट स्ट्रक्चर्स, मतलब ऐसे तोड़ नहीं सकते, तो उनको बिल्कुल ही कैनन बॉल से मार के तोड़
Talking
दिया गया.
about this, most probably.
एग्जैक्टली, दिस इज द नरसिम्हा मूर्ति, दिस इज उग्र नरसिम्हा. ठीक है,
Ah,
तो ये जो आप देख रहे हो, एक
ये
हाथ में
हम्पी.
उनका लक्ष्मी जी थे, तो एक
Yes,
हाथ में लक्ष्मी
exactly.
जी थे, और जो लक्ष्मी जी थे, आप इनका ये फोटो अगर और थोड़ा जूम कर सकते हो, एक छाती आप देखो थोड़ा ऐसे फटा हुआ है, थोड़ा काला दिख रहा है,
Yes,
एज इफ
yes, yes,
नरसिम्हा
yes,
गॉट
yes,
हिट बाय अ बॉल. तो
yes, yes, yes,
लक्ष्मी का
yes.
तोड़ा गया, फिर जो गोला मारा गया वो नरसिम्हा के सीने पे लगा, इनका हाथ भी टूटा है.
Yeah, one hand is broken.
But they could not break this whole giant granite monolith. तो हाँ, ये और बेसिकली इसके बारे में मुझे पहली बार पता चला बिफोर आई वेंट टू हम्पी. देयर इज अ बुक कॉल्ड आवरण बाय आवरण किसने लिखा यार, अपना
एसएल
Rishi will tell.
भैरप्पा. एसएल
भायप्पा,
भैरप्पा.
राइट राइट, हाँ भायप्पा. तो उनका जो बुक है वहां पे मैंने पढ़ा था ये. बट फिर मैं वो उग्र नरसिम्हा मूर्ति जब देखा, मतलब आई वाज रिमाइंडेड ऑफ द होल स्टोरी एक्चुअली. एनीवे, तो ये हम्पी के साथ हुआ है. एंड देन लेट मी टेल यू वन मोर थिंग दैट आई मिस्ड, राइट. हाँ, यहाँ पे एक कुओटो नाम का एक हिस्टोरियन है, who write ki who says ki that among the stuff that was looted there was a diamond as large as a hen's egg which was kept by Adil Shah. ठीक है, मतलब इस साइज का एक डायमंड था, वो आदिल शाह ने रख लिया. Ravaged palaces and shattered temples, fallen fort walls and desecrated idols whisper in silence about the betrayal of Ali Adil Shah, whom the city considered as its own son and gave refuge in tough times. The betrayal of the Gilani brothers, who received utmost respect and freedom in the kingdom of Raja Ramarai, and of the countless acts of jihad perpetrated on Hindus in the name of a religious ideology that says that the idol worshipping communities do not deserve to live, and killing them would provide a mujahid the supreme spiritual reward. रामाराय सेवर्ड हेड वाज ब्रॉट टू, तो रामाराय का जो गला काटा गया था, वो गला, वो बेसिकली मुंडी, इट वाज ब्रॉट टू अहमदनगर बाय निजाम शाह. इट वाज फिटेड टू द स्पाउट ऑफ अ ड्रेन दैट ओपनड आउट टू द फोर्ट. मतलब फोर्ट का एक नाला था, नाला जहाँ पे निकलता था, उसके मुंह पे, मतलब उसके ओपनिंग पे रामराय का जो मुंडी है उसको फिट कर दिया गया, तो उसके थ्रू पानी बहता था. This grotesque gargoyle bearing the fallen Hindu king's skull was seen for several years after the event. Because इस्लाम में सिर्फ काफिरों को हराना काफी नहीं है, उनको बेइज्जत करना भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट माना जाता है इस्लाम में. So that's why सिर्फ खून या फिर हरा के इस्लाम शांत नहीं रहता. उसके बाद भी उसको एक राजा का मुंडी ले आना होता है, उसको अपमान करना होता है, ताकि दिखा सके कि काफिर के ऊपर इस्लाम कितना गालिब हो सकता है. This is the history of Vijayanagar and its demise and the fall of Vijayanagar at the Battle of Talikota.
Yeah, thank you, Vijitda. I think we have talked
Welcome.
of the glory, we have talked about
Vijita,
its
is it
destruction.
just a coincidence that the Shanta Narasimha didn't survive, but the Ugra one survived anyhow?
हाँ, मतलब हो सकता है. This is
Or it is a
definitely,
message
yes,
to
this is
us?
definitely this may be a divine message, who knows. The Lakshmi did not survive, but this whole Kshatra, Ugra, Kshatra Tej survived, right?
Let me, okay, Ninar and who is there? Ninar, Rishi. So if you have any more questions, you can ask. Go ahead. I have one thing, and then I will go towards one the stream. Rishi.
Let me not speak. I will speak afterwards.
Vijita, do you have any knowledge of what languages Ramaraya knew? Because I've heard that in his court, even Persian was quite known.
Right. He started to give patronage to the Persian scripture and all these things. कुछ बुक का ट्रांसलेट भी करवाया उन्होंने. ये सब एक्चुअली चल रहा था उनके कोर्ट में, रॉयल कोर्ट में.
Okay,
मतलब उस
in
टाइम
that only I
पे आई
wanted to
थिंक
ask.
कुछ अकाउंट भी एग्जिस्ट करता है ऑफ सो कॉल्ड द हिंदू राइट, मतलब हिंदू राइट विंगर और हिंदू फंडामेंटलिस्ट इन मॉडर्न वर्ड्स हु आर एक्चुअली क्रिटिसाइजिंग रामराय कि ये वही सेम चीज कि ये
Right,
आधा
right.
ये खतना करा चुका है टाइप ऑफ थिंग.
Yeah, Rishi.
I have nothing much to ask actually. It has been done beautifully. The only
Okay.
thing that I'm
Go ahead.
yeah, please. Yeah, the only thing that I'm thinking about right now is how the whole project itself of Vijayanagara Samrajya, if one sees even in the Raya, in the sources, as Krishnaswamy Iyengar puts it in his work, Sources of Vijayanagara History, the initial works actually describe this whole process. In fact, the whole thing was the whole thing came out of a very good conference which held actually after Veera Ballala was flayed and his skin was like straws were put in his skins and so forth. So after that, from the erstwhile Kakatiya Nayakas to Shambhavaraya of the Pandyas, then the Kerala Nayakas, then the Karnataka Nayakas themselves also, Kappula Pralaya Nayaka, Musunuri Pralaya Nayaka, Chalukya Somadeva Nayaka, and so on and so forth. These people actually came, and this is supposedly recorded that they understood the fact that a single unity, like across all of these successive lines of Kakatiyas, Yadavas, Hoysalas, Pandyas, if they had united beforehand, if Prataparudra, the Kakatiya ruler, if he had learned from his 4 battles that he had won against the Tughlaqs, then they wouldn't have seen such devastation, especially under the Ulugh Khan's massacre at Kanchi, where 12,000 Vaishnavas were murdered. Sudarshanacharya, the famous Sri Vaishnava philosopher, too, was killed over there. And the riches of the temples were looted. Srirangam was also looted. The Nam Perumal, the main Utsava Murti, had to be taken in disguise as a corpse. So much of suffering was seen, and it was realized that Hindu unity at the end against these forces can only be the bulwark, and rightly so. And such great provisions were taken, in fact, to maintain this unity at that time itself. This is something I think we must learn, and we must actually try to achieve that. I would like to know all of your views.
Right. I mean, Hariharan and Bukka, they were, I think, military commanders of the Kakatiya dynasty. And also then when in Kerala, right, uh, there was this dynasty, I think, forgot the name. So केरल में एक डायनेस्टी को सैक कर दिया गया. केरल में नहीं, आई थिंक मादुराई के में एक डायनेस्टी था. तो तमिलनाडु में जो मादुराई डायनेस्टी था उनको सैक कर दिया गया. बेसिकली दिल्ली सल्तनत ने आई थिंक सैक किया. तब पूरा साउथ लगभग वहाँ के जो हिंदू एम्परर्स थे, दे रियलाइज्ड कि वी हैव टू सॉर्ट ऑफ यूनिफाई. तो इसीलिए फ्रॉम एशेस कहा जाता है कि एक के बाद एक डायनेस्टी को जब लगभग तबाह कर दिया गया, देन दे रियलाइज्ड कि सॉर्ट ऑफ एक यूनिफाइंग डायनेस्टी पॉसिबल हो सकता है कि नहीं. एंड देन विजयनगर empire sort of got great commanders as well, जिनके थ्रू ये जो संगमा डायनेस्टी जिसको कहते हैं, इसके जो रूलर थे फिर उन्होंने एक्सपैंड किया. देन इट वेंट ऑन टू द टुलुवा एसेंडेंसी, राइट. वो लोग भी थोड़ा बहुत एक्सपैंड किया. सो एक्चुअली ये जो साउथ में जब हिंदुत्व का या हिंदू एम्पायर का जो एशेस बन गया था, from there actually rose this great Vijayanagar kingdom. उस मामले में तो obviously I think Vijayanagar initially knew ki who is the real enemy, and then again later, like any other place in India, they forgot ki who is the real enemy, और वहां से फिर दिक्कत होना चालू किया. रामाराय के टाइम में तो वो बिल्कुल ही तो लगभग सेकुलर हो गया, और इसीलिए फिर उनका जो 1,40,000 सोल्जर थे at the battlefield, because they were Muslim, they turned against their own army. Apparently, by their own army, I mean Vijayanagar army, right? So yeah, it actually shows कि if you don't know the Islamic theology or the pretty much any Abrahamic theology, what can happen to you and your empire and your sort of tradition, unity, your prosperity. Because these Abrahamic religion, they spare no one who is not Abrahamic, right? In a way, and they have their own issues as well. But if you are non-Abrahamic, you are actually a kafir. मतलब you're probably the biggest enemy. तो ये actually दर्शाता है कि it actually rose from the ashes and then it shattered into, I don't know, into dust because of huge ignorance about the Abrahamic traditions.
So don't you think the Battle of Talikota is the cut copy paste of the third battle of Panipat? Exactly same thing.
I would say, yeah, definitely.
Because after many
Definitely, I
years
would say
they
that.
faced a battle. Well, they lost a battle, both the Vijayanagara Empire and the Maratha Empire.
Right.
The Nawab of Awadh switch, he had that now Sultanate switch.
Right. I think the only person who somehow effectively countered this jihad in their own language was probably Sambhaji, and in some part Shivaji as well. Matlab, from the whole military campaign and everything, and the deceit and guerrilla warfare, it seems like they knew Islam a little more than Raja Ram Rai, for example. So if you go to शिवाजी का जो अपना शिवाजी का जहाँ कोरोनेशन हुआ था,
रायगढ़।
रायगढ़ ही है क्या? रायगढ़ गया था क्या? रायगढ़ ही था शायद, हाँ। तो रायगढ़ में उनका तो ऑब्वियसली जो कोर्टयार्ड है वो तो पूरा तबाह हो चुका है, बट देयर इज अ टेम्पल, दुर्गा माँ का एक टेम्पल है, एंड हाँ शिवजी, आई थिंक वहाँ शिवजी भी है। फिर वो जो उसका स्ट्रक्चर है, इट लुक्स लाइक अ मॉस्क। तो उसके पीछे आइडिया ये था कि नीचे से अगर कोई तोप चला रहा है, they will think कि this is a mosque, hence they will not attack the temple, right? तो जो इंसान इस तरह से सोच सकता है, या फिर कि आई थिंक, मुझे पता नहीं या मतलब ओपनली बोलने से कुछ कंट्रोवर्सी हो जाएगा, बट वन ऑफ जिन दोनों का नाम ले उनमें से कोई तो, so they used to sort of slaughter pigs and then
Yeah,
splatter
no,
the blood.
you don't need to speak there.
तो हाँ, तो so they sort of got the idea कि किस हिसाब से वॉरफेयर चला सकते हैं। ऑब्वियसली घर वापसी भी काफी कराए थे, है ना। उसके बाद तो ये नॉलेज लगभग गुम हो गया, मतलब बाकी जो हिंदू लीडर है, कांग्रेस हो गया, इन जिनके दिमाग में थोड़ा बहुत आया था वो शायद सावरकर जी है, बट सावरकर, in spite of giving rise to this narrative of Hindutva, with a very small sized but heavily impacting book, right? I don't think Savarkar knew as much of Islam as Shivaji or Sambhaji. I feel it that way. Forget about Congress leaders; they don't know much.
Uh,
Probably Subhash Chandra Bose knew about it, but then he had nothing much to do.
No, I think
So,
Subhash Chandra Bose has no idea about the Islam because
uh,
Chittaranjan Das and he wanted to in 50% reservation for Muslim in Bengal.
right.
So they
Probably
were, I
because
think,
वो
also
मजबूर
ignorant.
थे, I don't know, probably मजबूर थे, probably जानते
No,
थे,
they were
but
ignorant.
they wanted some unity.
yeah. So when Birta was narrating the story of the last king of Vijayanagar and how he became secular, let me show you something, and I want all of your comments on this. So the Vijayanagar Empire was founded on the four principles: Dharma Raksha, protection of Hindu Dharma; Gau Raksha, protection of cows; Brahman Raksha, protection of Brahmins; and Bhumi Raksha, protection of land. So and as you mentioned that they had become a kind of secular in nature, okay, and they lost these four principles on which the dynasty was founded upon, okay, in the initial stages. And let me now show you one more thing, and then I'll take the comment that this Swayambodh and Shatrubodh, the book written by Mr. Pankaj Saxena, it's a new book, like it's not very old. So here he talks about the Hindu view of self and the world, the Swayambodh and the Shatrubodh. So my question to every one of you is that, and to the audience as well, think about it, like food for thought. That is there something, and as you mentioned, correct, it keeps repeating itself over a generation, over centuries, or even millennia, that we lose our Shatrubodh and we make the same mistake again and again.
I mean, yeah, I mean the point here is Hindu Dharma doesn't know about Islam, right? Uh, so this is bound to happen. मतलब Hindu scripture में ये लिखा नहीं है, until unless you, और जो शायद अभी के एज में पॉसिबल भी नहीं है, until unless you create a book which has as large spiritual impact as let's say भगवत गीता, उस लेवल का अगर कोई बंदा आके लिख के नहीं गया, फिर उस तरह का कोलैबोरेशन आके कोई ऐसा बुक पैदा नहीं हुआ which will criticize the Abrahamic religions, ये होना मुश्किल है. What we can do from our end is कि चलो एक philosophy लिखते हैं जो which will deal with these अब्राहमिक मोरालिटी, राइट? मतलब मैं जैसे अपने हिसाब से कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं जैसे एक फ्रेमवर्क बनाया कि ओके, सो लेट्स से कि एक मिनट.
Okay, let Vijit come. He'll be back in about 30 seconds. Till then, let me show you something. Okay, so I was talking about this, the book by Mr. Pankaj Saxena called Swayambodh and Shatrubodh, a Hindu view of self and the world. So, to the audience as well, to young audience who is just discovering a lot of things, why do you think this concept, which gets lost among especially our ruling elite, our intellectuals, and they lose concept and they make the same mistakes again and again over centuries? To Rishi and to Dev.
Yes, could you please repeat what you said?
Yeah. So with this back. So I am just talking to this question to everybody, that why we make the same mistakes again and again. Is it that the Shatrubodh and the Swayambodh gets diluted over generations? And why it happens to us only? Because we haven't seen that happen that much, except the post, we'll say the post Reformation Christianity. We have seen the Abrahamic keep their Shatrubodh and the Swayambodh. But for us Hindus, over thousands of years, we lose our Shatrubodh and we make the same mistakes after 500 years, after 1000 years.
Am I going to speak on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go and speak.
So
Go ahead speak.
yeah, so I think historically, but I will only say what I've read recently. So if anybody reads about Tilak, Lokmanya Tilak, so this they will get this idea. So from 1890s onwards, huge number of riots started in Maharashtra. As usual, Hindus versus special community, of course. So this thing started to happen, and Tilak actually notes this, that how there were two sections in Hindu society then. So Tilak was one which was, obviously we know which position he took. He took the actual real position, and there was this another section which was the uber educated class. So they had this paper called Gyan Prakash. So he notes that in the Gyan Prakash they do acknowledge what happened, but always the blame is on the Hindus, and they need to show big heart and so on. Why do they rattle the sentiments of the special community by asking for banning cow slaughter, or bringing processions, large processions of Hindu deities, or playing music in front of mosques, and so on and so forth. So I think this two faction of Hindus always remained in our society. One which was actually trying to have something of a partnership with the other cult, and the other which was like, no, they are seriously problematic for us, and we need to be wary of them. And this battle is ongoing, I think, and we see sometimes the either of the two factions rising and pressurizing the other, and we see the results of that as well. So Vijayanagara is a great example of it. So the first Rayas of Vijayanagara, they titled themselves as Hindu Raya Suratrana. Specifically Suratrana, mimicking the Sultan of the special community, and using the word Suratrana, which means saving the Hindus, basically. That we save the Hindus, Trana, Tran se Raksha, or that sort of thing. So that was a moment. And then you have, as Bijita so beautifully explained to us today, about Ramaraya and his policies, which were very much cordial towards them, and so on and so forth. So I think these two factions are there, and sometimes one that rise above the other, they reflect their policies, and we get to see the results of that. And we need to study this phenomenon, I think. Maybe you all can comment on it.
Yeah, Devdeep, Dinar, you have any comments?
I think Hindus tackling to the question of Islamic terrorism is like answering a chemistry question by reading physics book, because most of the Hindu don't know what is written in Quran. So I think it must be mandatory for Hindus to learn Quran. Then only they can know with whom they are tackling. No, right? Like for example, if a riot takes place, then a
So
Hindu takes
basically, they
place in
need to
the riot
learn the.
just to either to loot or to help or to help his community. But a Muslim takes place in a part in a riot to get his place in divine among the hoods. So we must have a clear conception that the difference between us and them. Only then I think we can treat them properly. And another thing is, we are a victim of the slave morality, that we will do shama, we will have a very egalitarian view of the world, because it has been shown on the regular basis that a Muslim emperor can afford to lose many a times, but we have to just lose a single battle. In Talikota also, after I think hundreds of years of victory, they just lost a single battle and they're finished. So I think whenever we as Hindus will win a battle, we have to be ruthless.
Hmm.
Like we have to
Exactly.
convert each one of them. Like that's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, even in recent time, right? Like recent days, ये जो एटलीस्ट जो नैरेटिव बोला गया है कि ओके वी अटैक पाकिस्तान, we deactivated whatever a large number of airports and caused enough damage to Pakistan. भाई फिर और थोड़ा आगे निकलो ना, थोड़ा और तबाही मचाओ ना, तो बीच में क्यों वही ना गरम करके ठंडा क्यों छोड़ दिया? पूरा करो, finish the task. Now where is this forgiveness and all this is coming? Are you like weak? एक बार फिर से कर देता, 1971 में हराया 93,000 सोल्जर, पाकिस्तानी सोल्जर, दे वर व्हाटएवर, मतलब सीज्ड कैप्चर्ड। तो फिर कुछ अलग तरीके से डिप्लोमेसी बनाओ ना, उनका आर्मी खत्म करो पाकिस्तान का, फिर उनको
Bijitda, do you
डेबिलिटेट
know
करो।
that in Israel it is not compulsory for an Arab to take part in the compulsory military training, but for Israel it is mandatory. But Arabs
एग्जैक्टली,
take part in the army. But in Indian
राइट,
army, I think the reverse is true.
राइट। तो मतलब आई
Uh,
आई जस्ट डोंट अंडरस्टैंड कि हिंदू लीडर, हिंदू लोग किस हिसाब से सोचते हैं। स्टिल मतलब अभी भी वही सेम चीज चल रहा है, कास्ट वॉर चल रहा है, अलग अलग नैरेटिव फैलाया जा रहा है। कांग्रेस जो मतलब इतना ज्यादा जेनोसाइड कर चुका है इस लैंड में, और इतना ज्यादा जेनोसाइड डिनाई कर चुका है, कांग्रेस जैसे पावर को अभी भी मतलब इतना हिस्सा दिया जा रहा है। व्हाई? बिकॉज दे ऑल आर पार्ट ऑफ द सेम गैंग, राइट? I think all
I
political
think
powers who are ruling India, they belong to the same gang. They are at least either they are either active genociding power, or they are genocide denying powers. There is not one
I
single
think
Hindu parliamentarian in Indian parliament.
yeah.
I
So
think
Debbie,
we must
Debbie, you
introduce
wanted to
a
say something.
law. Yes, yes. I think we must try to introduce a law that since we Hindus are very bad people, whenever a person converts back, we treat him very badly. So when a person converts back, he must be given the same status of S,
Hmm.
like SC or ST reservation. So I think it will help in the conversion.
Yeah, मतलब वही सब, I don't know, मतलब how we work as
okay.
a
Like I think
society.
we have to do dharma. It is the only
Right,
way.
right.
Okay, I think this was a very good discussion. So now let me finish it with a simple thing. So as Rishi mentioned, that correct, we will always have like two strands of Hindu thought. Okay, one who are rooted in dharma, and other who are not really rooted in dharma. They are bit more egalitarian in their approach, and that gives us the harm. So actually, there will be a podcast happening this Sunday, okay, where we're going to tackle this specific issue, this millennia-old problem, or maybe 1,000-year-old problem, or 3,000-year-old problem that we see, where the Swayam Bodh and the Shatru Bodh get evaporated over time. Okay. How does it happen? Okay, so the technical aspect of it, it's called social capital. Okay, so how social capital is the primary bedrock on which every civilization actually flourishes. Okay, and we some lot of times what we do is we try to see the symptom of that symptom and consider that as the only problem, where the symptom is just expression of a deeper malaise, a deeper problem within the Hindu society itself, which is not being diagnosed, or even when diagnosed, it is not addressed properly. So we will be having a podcast this Sunday where we're going to talk about this. Like it's academic in nature, but we will have also people come in and join to share their views. But we will try to understand in the academic terms, is also in the practical terms, how we misdiagnose our problems at the first place and try to address those symptoms rather than address the root problem of it. Yeah, Vijita, last word to you.
Last word. So I was talking about this philosophical framework that I'm trying to
Hmm. Hmm.
sort of I don't know, invent, right? That will discuss ki there are two basic like kind of morality. One is the spontaneous morality, and then there is this intention morality. Spontaneous morality is something that comes from the very core of your consciousness, right? And then it is not necessarily मतलब इसमें धंधाबाजी नहीं होता है, right? And then there is the intention morality where you have a sort of intention, an objective where you want to sort of reach your the conclusion of your argument or whatever, your mission, and you bend your morality as per your intention, right? तो इस तरह से मैं दिखाना चाह रहा हूँ कि लाइक मे बी हिंदू मोरालिटी somehow is this spontaneous morality, and these Abrahamic moralities are intention morality. Obviously, intention cannot be part of, मतलब intention cannot be a source of morality. उसके पीछे काफी सारे reason हो सकता है, because first of all, मतलब intention has a dual nature, right? I mean, it has the same level of existence as the physical causal existence of reasoning, for example, जहाँ पे duality exist करता है. लेकिन अगर कॉन्शियसनेस से कोई मोरालिटी निकल रहा है, उसमें जनरली डुअलिटी नहीं रहता है. फिर और सारा मैंने कुछ 15-20 रीजन दिखाया है. द पॉइंट इज कि मे बी बिकॉज they have a bigger intention in mind, right? They can bend their morality accordingly. और अलग अलग सेंचुरी में अलग अलग लोकेशन पे ये अलग अलग तरीके से मोरालिटी बेंड करते हैं. मतलब केरल में या फिर आंध्रा में आजकल देखोगे तो आपको जीसस कम दिखेगा, जीसस कम लगेगा और ज्यादा श्री राम लगेगा, राइट? तो इनका कोई फिक्स मोरालिटी नहीं है यार. 500 साल पहले बाइबल और कुरान का जो इंटरप्रिटेशन था, अभी इंटरप्रिटेशन बहुत बदल गया है. तब शायद उनके हिसाब से एक जियोसेंट्रिक मॉडल था, दुनिया फ्लैट हुआ करता था. अभी दे आर चेंजिंग द वेरी इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ देयर ओन बुक, राइट? उनका जो कुरान या बाइबल लिखा है उसके हिसाब से वो पूरा, मतलब उनका जो लिंग्विस्टिक्स है, उनका जो कॉम्प्रिहेंशन है, उनका जो वोकेबुलरी है, उसको बेंड कर देते हैं वो लोग. ये सब तो लोगों को समझाना, तो ये तो छोटी मोटी बात है, ठीक है? तो इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू फाइट दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ, वही ना कि कुछ कुछ शैतान होता है जो अलग अलग रूप ले सकता है. इसे ऐसे शैतानों को कैसे हराया जा सकता है? इट्स अ बिग क्वेश्चन. But one way is definitely कि you have to read like various Upanishad, Gita, इस तरह से कि to know who you really are and where you are coming from, and then accordingly you have to learn these Quran and other scriptures as well. कि मतलब यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आप जैसे सोच रहे हो दूसरा कम्युनिटी हो या फिर कोई अलग मान लो हेमिस्फीयर का बंदा हो, यूएस का कोई बंदा हो, नेसेसरीली वो आपके तरह से नहीं सोचता है. यू नीड टू नो एटलीस्ट दिस मच, देन ओनली यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा दूसरा बंदा फिर कैसे सोच रहा होगा. हिंदुओं का ये सेंस ही नहीं है कि मतलब कोई दूसरा रिलीजन हो सकता है, उसका फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ थिंकिंग अलग हो सकता है, और उसके फ्रेमवर्क में हिंदू एक बाय डिफॉल्ट एनिमी हो सकता है. मतलब कुरान 2.254 राइट, जो काफिर है वही जालिम है. हिंदू को ये आइडिया ही नहीं है कि ही इज अ क्रिमिनल बाय डिफॉल्ट इन सम आइडियोलॉजी दैट ऑलरेडी इज नॉरिशिंग एंड व्हाटएवर, मतलब ब्रेन वॉशिंग एटलीस्ट 2 बिलियन पीपल राइट ऑन अर्थ. तो हिंदुओं को ये समझाना एटलीस्ट धीरे धीरे मतलब अभी तो थोड़ा बहुत सुनने में आ रहा है कि हिस्ट्री बुक में सुधार आ रहा है. अब ये जो फिलोसॉफिकल फ्रेमवर्क जो एग्जिस्ट करते हैं इसमें कहाँ से आप सुधार लाओगे. देन कम्स फॉर एग्जांपल द लीगल सिस्टम. फॉर एग्जांपल ये जो लॉ है, लॉ भी थोड़ा इंडियन पिनल कोड हो जाए या फिर बाकी जो लीगल फ्रेमवर्क है वो राइट्स के हिसाब से बनाए गए हैं. राइट नाउ व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट, आई कैन गो ऑन एंड ऑन बिकॉज आई एम राइटिंग अ बुक ऑन दिस राइट. तो राइट्स में क्या होता है, बिकॉज दिस एब्राहमिक आइडियोलॉजीज दे नीड मोर एंड मोर राइट्स इन ऑर्डर टू एक्सपैंड इनटू दिस लैंड ऑफ भारत राइट. तो Abrahamic religion they get assisted in this legal framework, while Hindus, who are the ancient inhabitor of this land, they have created a society, so they have certain responsibilities, they have certain duties. सिर्फ राइट के हिसाब से वो लोग नहीं चल सकते हैं. तो उस हिसाब से हिंदू थोड़ा बैकफुट पे आ जाता है इवन इन दिस करेंट लीगल फ्रेमवर्क राइट. और वेस्ट उस हिसाब से उसको ढाला गया है क्योंकि यूरोप हो जाए यूएस हो जाए, दे हैड टू फाइट, आई मीन एटलीस्ट यूरोप हैड टू फाइट क्रिश्चियनिटी, एंड द ओनली वे टू फाइट क्रिश्चियनिटी वाज बाय कंसोलिडेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स राइट. कि मेरा ये राइट है कि मैं सच चीज बताऊं, मेरा ये राइट है कि चर्च मेरा ब्रेन वॉश ना कर सके और मैं फ्रीडम ऑफ थॉट अडॉप्ट कर सकूं. इंडिया को ये सब झेलना नहीं. सो ये हिस्टोरिकल जो ट्रांजिशन इंडिया को इसके थ्रू जाना नहीं पड़ा, शायद अब जाना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज इंडियंस हिंदूज नीड टू आस्क फॉर मोर राइट अगेंस्ट द एग्जिस्टिंग सेकुलर सिस्टम राइट. एंड दिस सेकुलरिज्म इज नथिंग बट ए टूल टू एक्सपैंड द आइडिया ऑफ हिंदू जेनोसाइड एटलीस्ट राइट. मतलब सेकुलरिज्म जैसे आप देखते हो कि धीरे धीरे इट इज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. और इस्लाम मतलब मुस्लिम से बोलते भी है एक मुहाइदा है, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एक मुहाइदा है. मुहाइदा का मतलब क्या है, इट्स अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. कि मतलब देयर आर कम्युनिटीज हु डोंट थिंक कि इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज सेक्रेड और एनीथिंग. बाबा साहब को ना बाप मानते हैं ना रसूल मानते हैं ना अपना वही क्या प्रॉफिट अवतार कुछ नहीं मानते हैं. बाबा साहब ने जो दिया है वो एक उनके लिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक मुहाइदा है. वो मुहाइदा तब तक काम करेगा जब तक 33% ना हो जाए. 33% जब हो जाए फिर 47.35 कुरान का आ जाएगा कि तुम अब गालिब हो चुके हो, तुम पावर में ज्यादा हो चुके हो, और क्योंकि एक मोमिन 2 काफिरों पे भारी हो सकता है, यू आर 33% नाउ, जिहाद तुम पे फर्ज हो गया है. सो अभी कोई पीस ट्रीटी में मत जाओ, अभी तुम्हारे ऊपर जिहाद फर्ज हो गया है. इट इज योर ऑब्लिगेटरी ड्यूटी. अब तुम जिहाद नहीं करोगे तो तुम जहन्नम में जाओगे. सो ये सब चीजें समझना पड़ेगा हमें कि हाउ दिस होल फ्रेमवर्क that Islam or any Abrahamic religion they have invented, which is assisting them to expand into our territory, into our geographical territory, political territory, social territory, right? Diplomatic territory. ये जब तक हम लोग नहीं समझेंगे तब तक विजयनगर बनता और टूटता रहेगा एक्चुअली.
Yes. So thank you a lot, Vijitda. I think this was
I think
something
Nina has a
really.
question which I think we must listen.
Actually, your voice is cracking. I think because
I
we can't
think
hear you
Nina has a
properly.
question which we must listen. Nina, he has a question I think,
Okay.
which
Oh,
we just
Ninar, go
forgot
ahead.
to ask.
अरे बोलो ना निनर, तुम उसमें ना हमने रोक के रखा है.
No, I didn't have a question. I was just going
Then
to join in the discussion earlier. Oh, I
ah,
think I've forgotten the question.
okay, no problem. We can do it next time. No issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you everybody for this long winding. We have gone through a lot of things. I think in 2.5 hours we have traveled. We have traversed 2,000 years of almost 1,000 years of history, in terms of going back before prior to Vijayanagar. Now Vijayanagar, we talk about modern day, how it's reflected, how history repeats itself. So it's really a fruitful discussion. But Sunday we are going to have like a really intense discussion on, are we doing something wrong in terms of diagnosing the problem that we have with the Hindu society, and where we are going wrong. So we will take an academic look at it. We will take a political look at it. We will take a social look at it from a sociologist himself. So do tune in for that. That will be and members who want to join that specific podcast, that link will be available in the membership only post. You can directly join the stream. Sunday 7:30 p.m. IST. So Sunday 7:30 p.m. IST. This Sunday. This Sunday is let me see. This Sunday is 27th. So 27th of July, 7:30 p.m. we'll be having that stream. We're going to do a deep dive into the hidden malaise of Hindu society, which we are not understanding or not looking at it in a way we should be looking at it. So last 40 minutes will be reserved for members who are members. They will be able to join the podcast live, and they will be able to ask and share questions. So if you want to also participate in that, do take the members button, so that you have the option to talk to our guests and in the podcast directly live. So thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate everybody joining this, sharing your thoughts, sharing your time. And Vijitda, we'll also see you in a couple of days, or maybe in a week.
Sure.
We'll have one more podcast with you.
Sure.
Thank you. Jai Shri Ram. Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.